what is the different style of David Stern running the NBA versus an Adam Silver?
I felt like David Stern era, he ran the game. I think Adam Silver's era, he's more or less allowing the players to.
All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hope you all are having a good day so far. I've got something pretty special here, at least for me. I've been waiting for something like this for a very long time. This is a video called Couldn't Win Without Me. Scottie Pippen breaks silence on Jordan, NBA legacy, and Bulls dynasty. This is a 2-hour and 5-minute long podcast with Scottie Pippen. It's on a channel called PBD Podcast. I'm going to link the original video down below in the description, as I always do with my videos.
Scottie, I think we're finally doing this.
Yes, we are.
This is actually happening.
Yes.
And for the viewers that are watching this, they have no idea that I told you. And by the way, we started off with a heated debate. You missed it. The debate was over who's got the best voice in the NBA. You speak effortless, but you have these. I don't know if you've been told this. You got the best voice in the NBA. You said somebody else got the best voice.
Yes.
You gave credit to somebody else.
Well, you gave me the credit of
Right.
having the best voice in association. So I said, yeah, I may have to give it to Dr. J.
Yeah, you said Dr. J.
Yeah, they
listen,
both do.
We can say a lot of things to give credit to him. I played his voice. He doesn't have a Scottie Pippen voice. But it's great to have you here. I know we've spoken the last few years about having you on and, book coming out, a bunch of different conversations we had. And, the audience, there's certain people that don't need an introduction. 6 championships, dream. I think you got 2 gold medals, if I'm not mistaken, 7-time All-Star. Your career average was a 2 steals per game. I think you're 7th all-time, if I'm not mistaken, in that category. That's not an easy stat as a catalog of your career to maintain a 2.0.
Agreed.
2 steals a game. There's a lot of things to be talked about with the things that you've done, but we got a lot to talk about today, man, so I'm glad you're here.
I'll always give Scottie being one of the greatest defenders of all time. 2 things to note. One, he's strategically promoting his crypto program right here, or his crypto thing right here, the ball. 2, he's looking good. Scottie's looking good. Maybe he's sober. Maybe he's cleaned up. He's looking really good.
Pleasure.
I want to start off with a very, we start off soft and we get tougher as the podcast gets ahead. So let's start off with something very soft. So when I look at the NBA, myself, as a guy that consumed the game 24/7, I never missed a game from the day I came to the States, 1990, till 98. I watched everything. I was a Lakers guy. So I'm talking Nick Van Exel, Sedale Treat, if you know these names, Eldon Campbell. I can give you some lineup of guys we watched that Eddie Jones, Trevor Ariza came a little later, but I go all the way back. When you watch the viewership of NBA Finals, you guys, what you did, what Michael did, Chicago Bulls, I don't know what the number is, Rob. If you type in NBA Finals viewership, 38 million, 36 million, 32 million, and then you see the stats today, and the stats come out saying the NBA viewership is down 48% the last 12 years.
What I can tell you real quick is that 98 finals, the final Bulls finals, that was the highest viewed NBA finals of all time still to this day.
I no longer watch the NBA, okay? To me, they've lost me as a fan.
Yeah.
You, as somebody who was face known worldwide, what happened to the NBA the last 10, 20 years?
Good way to start.
Well, I feel like that the game changed. It became more of a perimeter shooter game, if I could say that. And I think and I remember right when I was leaving the game, early 2000, that the league promoted more scoring. They wanted to get more points up on the board. They felt like that would get the fans more engaged.
Tail end of your career.
Yes.
Okay, I got it.
So
which I think was about 2003 or 2004. I believe Scottie retired.
At that point, to me, it started looking more like a game built for offensive players. guys that did play defense and, took pride in playing defense were to some degree punished, I felt like, because everything was working in favor of the offensive player.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
then they put the circle in there where a guy is not allowed to take a charge at certain points in the lane, at a certain position in the lane. So I think with a lot of things changing within the game, and a lot of it was for the good, looking at, the physicality of the game as to where it was in the 90s. But I think a lot of that got wiped away, and I think that's where a lot of the fans lost interest in the game.
So you're saying, because LeBron said the 3-point game, right? A lot of people said the 3-point game. You're saying the defense. Rob, I just pulled this up, which is a very interesting stat, by the way, based on what you're saying.
I mean, it's both. So it's both, and then there's more to it.
I pulled up what year the NBA averaged the least amount of points, okay?
Nice.
Per game over the history of it. Rob, just pull up the link and put it up. Very, very interesting. The last year you guys won the championship together, was it 97-98 or 98-99?
It was 97-98.
97-98. So this is interesting. Zoom in a little bit, Rob. So if you look at the league right there and go on to the category of points. Points is, keep going to the right, keep going to the right, keep going right there. There's points right there, right there. Okay. So watch that. In 2024, 2025, right now the NBA averages 113 points a game. Last year was 114, 115, 110. So since 2018, it's been averaging 111 points a game. Then if you go back to 2012, it was 98, 96, 99, okay? If you go a little bit lower, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Look at the 97, 98.
Yeah.
Now you see 92 points a game. That's 98, 99.
Okay, I just wanted to look at this because Scottie said by the time he was leaving, the scoring was going up. And yeah, so that's... Okay, so I'm sorry. That's not it. That is where... No. Crap. That's where it was when the Bulls dynasty pretty much ended. It was right here. So between 95 and 92, essentially. Because really this was the final year. And then by 2003... I mean, I would kind of disagree with Scottie on that, but no, he's right. By the year he was retiring, it had started to go up. So yeah, there were some shifts. Oops. And then after that, every single year it did go up. Yeah, at least about a point a year. Okay, I see exactly what he's talking about. And the years prior to that, the early 90s were actually higher scoring, though. So yeah, this is where we entered that phase of the lowest scoring era.
95.6, 96.9, right? With the points per game. What else do you think it is that turned fans away from the game? Because to me, how much of it do you think, and I'll ask these questions, and you're probably going to be more diplomatic than me because you're in the game. How much of it do you think David Stern, what is the different style of David Stern running the NBA versus an Adam Silver?
Good question.
I felt like David Stern era, he ran the game. I think Adam Silver's era, he's more or less allowing the players to have some input in terms of how the rules of the game are changing.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, it looks like it's pretty bad right now.
Oh, interesting.
But I think
all right, get him, Scottie.
from a standpoint of players being healthy, those are some precautionary measures that they've taken in the game where players don't like to play back-to-back. So I think it's a lot of things, you know. I definitely feel like the three-point shot has turned fans away from the game because it's just no teamwork in shooting a three-point shot. There's no teamwork in coming down and taking a shot from behind the three-point line.
Yeah,
but
especially on a fast
there's
break.
teamwork in coming down and executing a play. Everybody touches the ball, and you get a bucket out of it, whether it's a 2 or a 3. But it's something that drew fans, drew people to love the game, to love certain teams that played a certain way. And I don't think you see that in today's game. I feel like the last team that played with that kind of chemistry was the Golden State Warriors. They had sort of a team chemistry where they moved the ball, but it was about a lot of jump shooting, a lot of three-point shooters, but they had the greatest shooters in the history of the game.
Yep.
And they had the greatest shooters in the game at that time. So it was a great sight to really see a great team executing, playing together, and shooting the three-point shot. Well, in today's game, as we watch it, we don't see that great team chemistry of a team that has been doing this and have longevity of success. So it makes it hard for you to lock in and like what you're seeing.
Yeah, it's funny.
I agree. Real quick, before the Golden State Warriors, to me, it was the San Antonio Spurs, where year after year we see that this team with this identity is always going to be there in the playoffs. You can count on it. You can take it to the bank. Then we had the Golden State Warriors, and a lot of people blame the Warriors and they blame Steph for how the game is now. But if you actually watch them, you never saw anybody play like that. Closest thing was probably the 05 Suns, but that was not even the same type of game. But yeah, ball movement was prominent, and they had the two best shooters in the league on the same team, like Scottie said, at that time. So of course they built their offense around having the two best shooters in the world. Yeah, we're going to shoot a lot of threes. I get it. It made sense. What sucks is that everyone else, they emulated that. They ripped off. It's a copycat league. So they took what the Golden State Warriors did and they implemented that into their team. And by doing that, all these individual teams lost their identity. They just became a copycat Golden State Warriors team without those shooters. So it didn't make any sense.
Years ago, the NBA All-Star, probably 5-6 years ago, I don't know if you remember, Giannis had the team, LeBron had the team. In the fourth quarter, they were playing up to 157. Whoever hit 157 would win. I saw defense I hadn't seen since your era. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Even Kobe would play the defense in in All-Star games. So you would see that element. Himself, McGrady, some of these guys would play. But in that moment, I'm sitting there thinking to myself as a fan, I'm like, why am I liking this? This is freaking amazing. So defense was very attractive to me because it's a fight, right? It's a fight that the other side is putting up. I want to ask you a question.
That's a good point. If there's no resistance, then the offense that we're watching is not impressive. You need resistance. Same with football. Imagine if defense was completely gone, American football, it doesn't matter. Scoring doesn't mean anything anymore because there was zero resistance to stop that score from happening.
When you were playing and you guys had fans in Chicago, you guys were, can we say that the 10-year run you had, you were like the Beatles? You were like Elvis Presley. You were like, is it fair to say no matter where you guys went, everybody wanted to see you guys? The show in town no matter where you guys went.
I would definitely say that's fair, but I would give a lot of the credit to Michael Jordan because of the fact that he had created something with the Chicago Bulls, and that myself and other guys that came along, we built up on that, and it became in the late 90s when we got Dennis Rodman on the team that we were, or people looked at us as a rock band. And when we came to different cities, we had that kind of feeling that, we had to put on a show. We had to perform. And that's why when you look at those teams, and especially my Bull teams back there were no days off, Guys came to play whether they were injured, sick, no matter what, because we felt like that we had to perform and that there were people coming out to watch us perform.
Yeah, and when
right there, I would like every young NBA player right now to just hear what he said there, because it's crucial. He felt an obligation to perform because people were coming out to watch them perform. It's so simple.
and I watch it that way, and I see the numbers. You know, we're going to get into the debates of Michael, LeBron, Kobe, all this stuff. We'll get into that here in a minute. But the question I wanted to ask you is, when you guys played for the Bulls and politicians showed up, okay, say Republicans showed up, Democrats showed up, and they'd come and speak to you. And Michael made that one comment that we read about. I don't know if he said that or not. You know what I'm talking about, where
Yes.
it's like, listen, Republicans also buy shoes too,
Yeah.
right? And Obama in The Last Stand said, I was kind of disappointed that he didn't come and support that one candidate. And even Michael's mother wasn't happy. You know the story. I'm telling you stuff that you lived it. So
That's
I'm more,
funny because I'm actually proud that MJ didn't get involved politically. He kept it to basketball where it belonged. He's a basketball player. He's not a politician.
the guy watching it from the outside. As a comparison of face of the league to face of the league, not talent. We're not talking like who's the better team player, who's the better scorer, who's more dominant, who's a bigger winner, Michael to LeBron. How much of it you think also the face of the league, MJ was the face of the league, then maybe you put Kobe, Shaq the next era, then you put LeBron, Curry the next era. As the face of the league, how much did Michael's approach to the fans cause people to come that could care less about politics, left, right, and center, fall in love with it, versus now the face of the league with social media? Some fans are like, if you don't like me, I don't even want to come contribute to watch a game anymore.
For sure.
Because you kind of speaking to me in a way that you want to see me come watch and play. That specific debate, what did you notice between those two of gaining different fans?
Real quick, a little bit of input. So we're talking about the viewership being down about 40-something% since 2012, I think it was. Anyways, let's just call it like close to 50. Like we've cut it in half, right? Yeah, the league getting more political. Doesn't that make sense? Because we just split the audience now. So we're getting half of the audience watching, and the other half has checked out. Because, yeah, the star of the league is LeBron James, and he is very political on social media. So a lot of people don't feel welcome anymore. And that's why I'm glad Michael Jordan didn't do it. He didn't make this about politics. He didn't divide his audience. He made everyone feel welcome to enjoy the game of basketball.
Well, I can say in today's era, especially with social media, players allow the public to know their personal things, whether it's political, financial, family, whatever. Mm-hmm. They allow the public to get involved in it. So when you ask me to make that comparison with Michael or LeBron, well, Michael never put himself in that position. I mean, his words speak for itself. I mean, he's never gonna put himself in a position where you know his political thinking, his political mindset. He stays away from that. He's a basketball player. He's not a politician. He's not one that's going to get involved in any kind of debate. He's going to focus more on playing basketball and what it takes to win championships. And that's all he's going to speak around.
Was he like that behind closed doors and on camera when he's being interviewed?
Yeah, that was just his whole mindset because, you know, as we look at it today, he had a big engine, a big brand behind him that he's always had to protect.
But like, you know, as a young guy, you're coming up when he would give you advice, like different things that you guys spoke about. You know, I know the one thing you talked about with when you went to the Rockets, he said you should have never. We'll talk. You know which one I'm talking about when he's like, you could have gone a different place.
Because Charles Barkley.
But did he give that feedback to guys coming up? Hey guys, we don't talk politics here. Hey guys, don't bring that kind of attention here. Because the head coach Phil Jackson, when you study about him, and back in the days when he played for the Knicks, you know, he played with a couple guys that all they talked about in the locker room was politics. So you get a Phil who's very political, but he keeps it to himself. He's philosophical. You get a Michael. Was it one of those things that it's a code? We as a unit almost ran like a mob. We don't touch politics. We don't talk about it. Did he run it that way?
Good question.
I don't think he really ran it. I think he's just led by example. You know, if you don't speak it, then you know that that's not an area, that's a gray area that he doesn't want to talk about.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Obviously, if any politician, anyone wants him to donate or do anything publicly, then he's never going to get involved with that.
What a move to make.
It
Good
is.
for him.
I mean, the thing is back then, I correct me if you guys have a different perspective, but I was born in '82. I was raised that politics is something that you define for yourself. You get to vote. But we vote in private in a booth for a reason. And that means that like this isn't supposed to be something that we're going to be arguing about with our friends or our family, debating our neighbors about, and now with social media, debating everybody in the world about the way we do now. I was not raised that way. For me, well, just like everybody else, I have my views, but I keep them to myself because I'm not a politician. If I was a politician, then I would make it voiced on a regular basis. Just like here, I'm talking about basketball on a basketball YouTube channel. I focus on basketball because that's, but if I'm going to the supermarket or something, checking out, buying some groceries, I'm not talking basketball with that person, like there's a platform for these things and there's a reason for them. But yeah, politics, like all it does is just divide people. The way I see when we openly discuss it and debate it with our fellow man. Like all it does is serve to divide us, and it's not that to mean that politics are bad. Politics are not bad. We need politics, but do we all need to pretend like we're politicians? I don't think so.
Can move like that.
Yeah,
Do you think that indirectly, that position helped the NBA grow its viewership because it attract all types of people?
Yes, it did because, like I said, in the 90s, we didn't have social media. So we didn't have a way to turn fans off, especially from a political standpoint.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
We didn't have a way to encourage them from a political standpoint. So we just had basketball, and it was a lot easier to focus on our craft and our job and grow from that. We didn't have a lot of the distractions that, players have now with social media. We had a lot of newspapers. There were more magazines and things printing stories. But, it takes weeks, days, months for those kind of stories to get out. Whereas social media, it's every day. It's 24/7. It's every 30 minutes, every minute, something's jumping off.
Do you think if social media was there back then, like, Ronaldo right now is the most followed guy. I don't know what he's got, 600 million followers, something like that on Instagram.
Jeez.
If social media was on when you guys were playing, how big would you guys and would Michael have been?
Wow.
I mean, Ronaldo's got 647 million followers right now on Instagram.
Good Lord.
How big would it have been if social media was around when you guys were playing? Maybe
million?
Dennis Rodman would have had the most following. Who knows?
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it would have been different.
Oh my God. Could you guys imagine Bulls, Dennis Rodman with social media back then? He was already, paparazzi followed him everywhere. Could you imagine him actually getting to post crap on social media? Those Vegas trips would be so well documented.
Definitely, with looking at these numbers, you don't know how, being a player that played in the 90s, how these numbers come about and, what they really mean, because we didn't grow up in this social media era, but definitely who you're talking about. you know that, he's one of the greatest players, greatest athletes in the world, and 647 million speaks for itself.
So you
Insane.
think Michael would have been there if social media was around at that time? 'Cause Michael kind of took the NBA to...
I think he would have probably doubled that, I'm going to be honest.
Seriously.
Yeah, I would say, because
I mean, he's probably not wrong.
basketball in the 90s, when it first jumped off and, just having social media back then would have just been amazing. I remember in 1987 when I was drafted, that's when the NBA signed a international deal with China, where
87?
games were now being shown all over, the world pretty much, definitely all over China. So the game was growing then. And, at that point, I mean, Michael was 4 or 5 years already into the game. So I'm just speaking when I started in the league that, the growth of what I've seen in basketball, I've traveled all over the world, from Italy, Germany, early 90s, late 80s, really talking about basketball, growing basketball, talking about the Olympics. And lo and behold, 1992, we're playing in the Olympics. And now, 30 years later, there's nothing but NBA players playing in the Olympics now. So things have changed, and, players all around the world has definitely gained more confidence, more interest in playing in the NBA.
Scottie's got a good point. After 1992, what happened in Barcelona in the Olympics, if Jordan had a social media account, I'm pretty sure everybody, not everybody, but like 80% of the population of the world that has the ability to have social media, they'd be following MJ for sure. We all know we would as kids.
Scottie, who were some people you saw? Because your last year was it 0304? If I'm looking at this, 0304. So 04 is when Barack gave the speech at the DNC when he blew up. That's when he came out and he gave one of the greatest speeches of all time. Did Barack ever come watch you play, or did Trump ever come watch you play? Did you ever see either one of them at the games?
No, I never seen neither
really?
one of them at the game.
Neither one of them?
No.
Oh, interesting.
Being Barack was a Chicago guy, he probably watched from a suite or something from that standpoint if he came to the game, but I've never had met him at a game.
Neither him nor Trump?
No.
So Trump never watched the Bulls? He had to have gone to a Bulls game.
I doubt it.
Really?
He's a New York guy.
Makes
What if you go
sense.
to the Knicks? I mean, that era of you guys going to the Knicks, it would have been something to want to watch when you guys were on the road.
I stayed at a lot of Trump hotels back in my playing days.
You stayed out of Trump Hotel?
No, we stayed at.
Oh, you stayed at Trump Hotels. Got it. Look, what is that?
I've never
Rob?
done it
So he's
myself.
out there, Knicks against Bucks. Can you see if there's a Trump with Chicago Bulls? Trump watching Chicago Bulls? Just curious if. Well, that's Trump in a Chicago Bulls jersey. That's funny. People.
Oh, what was what was this? Hold on. Oh, come on. Dude, that's got to be AI. That's bad AI, too.
Okay, these are all AI driven things that you've shown.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to find something real.
who
Yeah,
was the
guys,
guy-
remember when Photoshop was a problem? Because it was like, we're not going to be able to tell what's real and what's not. Now we got AI, too. Shoot.
First time you're playing, you're in there 87. I remember your rookie card, by the way, the rookie Fleer card, right? I remember what that looked like.
I would like
So
that card.
when you came in, who was the first guy to game where you're like, oh, shit, look who's here today? Was this somebody you saw on the sidelines where you were a little bit shocked, or not really? You were so focused on the game.
I was more or less focused on the game, but there were times when, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I'd never met, playing in Chicago, would show up and be courtside. Oprah Winfrey.
That's right, Chicago.
Yeah, so back in the day,
Oprah was a
Gene
huge
Sisco,
fan.
who was a very close friend of mine, some movie critic. He passed away. God rest his soul. But, I was never a guy that really focused on who was watching me play. I didn't care who was in the stands. I've always been a player that focused on the game, my team, the success, and how do we win. That's it. I don't care who's coming to watch.
Let me ask you two of them. And see if did you ever have Michael Jackson come watch the game, or Prince? Either one of those
Wow.
two.
I think I had Prince. Well, I can't say. I think Prince came to a game down in Minnesota.
Prince did?
Yeah, when we played the Timberwolves.
In Minnesota.
I've never seen Michael at a game.
You
Even though,
ever want to watch him perform? Did you ever go to one of his concerts?
No.
No. Okay, so for me, I never two regrets. I never got a chance to see Michael Jackson perform, and I never got a chance to watch you guys play.
Wow.
Ever.
Oh, damn.
Wow.
Ever. I never got a chance to watch you guys play.
Shout out down below. Who's seen this Bulls play live? I'm thankful I did.
Yeah, that was 2000. Wow, it's been 8 years already. That is absolutely wild. That it's been 8 years already. With interesting how fast time flies by.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
You mentioned Dream Team earlier, Kai. With the Dream Team taking place, obviously we can go back to one of the topics that we followed very closely. That lineup right there. Who's on the team, by the way? So you got yourself, Stockton, Bird, Michael, Clyde Drexler, Mullen, Barkley, Malone, I think that's David Robinson,
Yeah.
Magic, Ewing, and Leitner.
Love this team.
Yeah.
And you got Chuck Daly as a coach. And when you go back, and the main story that we hear about, there's two stories that we hear about. One story is the greatest game ever played that nobody ever saw.
The practice.
Right? That story with where Magic is talking smack to Michael.
Right.
What is your point of view of that story, of that game? Do you remember it?
Well, if you look at that, I was one of the youngest guys on that team beyond Leitner, but
And
it
David
was
Robinson.
just one of those practices where guys just talking trash. Guys were excited to be in the gym for one and practicing, and Magic was one of those guys that he wanted to rah and get everybody together, but also, hey, we're here to work. And so Magic made it a little more competitive and started kind of
Poking.
poking a little bit at Michael, letting him know, I've been away and you got a championship, but hey, I'm still Magic and da-da-da. And so
That does
it
sound
just
like Magic, too.
kind of got a little bit heated. Nothing in a bad way, just one of those days where, Michael put more energy on the basketball court than he did on the golf course. But, yeah, he came out and, was talking trash. And every day after practice, we would go back to the rooms and play cards and just kind of sit around and talk and smoke cigars and things. But
What was your favorite memory of the Dream Team, 92?
It's just not one thing. Just being around guys who you looked at, who you idolized, and always wondered, what make them tick, what make them go, what pushes them, what their daily workout is like, what do they do every day. And just kind of being in their surroundings. And I'm talking to everybody from Larry Bird, who was at the end of his career,
Dealing
as
with
well
back
as
problems.
Magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact,
but-
Bird didn't even want to play, but Magic convinced him to, because he was like, "This is the only chance we're gonna get to be on the same team, and what better stage to do it." So Bird didn't play much because his back was so busted up, but it was a big deal he was there. I'm really glad he did it.
Just kind of being around those guys and finally getting to know them, not having to feel like it's a day where I got to guard Larry Bird. It's a competitive moment, but having the opportunity to bond with them, to have breakfast with them, to meet their families, just to see what their lives are like away from the game, just having the opportunity to say, I'm a friend of Larry Bird, that's better than me going through my whole career and saying, hey, I played against Bird 5 times, and yeah, he was tough. But that opportunity to kind of break bread, to bond, it kind of opened up a different door for us, I guess, in the NBA world, because we've never had that opportunity to really come together. It was always about competing. You look at the Bulls and the Pistons, and there was never a opportunity for us to ever just come together and break bread and say, hey, we had some great competitive years, man, and this and that, just to talk basketball. But that moment to get all those players together, and you build more respect for people too, just after that. I mean, I had opportunity. We played against Karl Malone and John Stockton twice after that.
Yeah, in the finals.
So not only am I competing with them, for an NBA championship, but I just won 2 gold medals with these 2 dudes, So
Yeah.
this is competitive, but it means something to both of us.
That's true. It's competition, but not hate.
That, we've gotten back to the finals,
Who did you learn a lot from? Who were you like? You hear the documentary about when Dwayne Wade and LeBron, they said LeBron learned about work ethic of Kobe after going to the Olympics with him. He's like, I had no idea this guy worked. I
Yeah.
thought I was a hard worker, but then it's like, holy shit. Yeah. This is how the guy trains. This is how he works. And you heard the stories from Carmelo, and you heard the story from, was it Bosch? I think Bosch is the one that told one of the stories, right?
Yeah.
When you went there, was it because I would assume on Michael's mindset of going there was to make sure he sets the record straight. It's my NBA. I'm here to set the tone, right? Because you guys had just won one, if I'm not mistaken. But when you're going there and you're trying to size some of these guys up as well, who did you learn a lot from where you're like, I had no idea that guy had that kind of work ethic. That guy was very disciplined. That guy doesn't drink. He never partied. He didn't come and do this. He had to get his sleep. This guy had to do this. What patterns did you learn about some of your peers and competitors?
Another cool question.
Well, you definitely get a chance to see their work ethics away from the game because we definitely spent time, together. But it gave me a chance to really bond with some guys that I probably thought I never would. I bonded with Karl Malone. I bonded with Patrick Ewing. We would work out together, so I got a chance to see what it's like working with these guys, not just on the court, but off the court, but having the opportunity to go do extra stuff on the basketball court to learn kind of what their extra work includes. What do they work on?
Who were you
what
impressed
are
by?
their weaknesses?
Who were you impressed by?
Well, I was very impressed with Karl Malone in the weight room.
I bet.
He is a beast.
Because of how much he pushed?
Yeah. I mean, he is just a beast. I mean, he stays in the gym 4 hours and just works until you can't pick up a cup of coffee.
So that was him. Wow.
Yeah, his arms always shocked me. They're massive freaking arms. His elbow is the size of most people's biceps.
He's very disciplined with sleep and diet.
Oh,
I'm assuming.
Who's very disciplined with sleep and diet? I got to make a prediction. I'm guessing John Stockton. Yes, I'm guessing John Stockton. He's such a straight shooter. I can't imagine him partying.
Charles Barkley was very disciplined with
eating and
diet
and hanging out.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I've just read about it.
I would say someone who really focused on their diet probably was more like someone like Chris Mullin.
Oh,
Chris Mullin.
okay, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he was. And I'm just talking about conditioning. Like this guy, him and Patrick, they were just so focused on their conditioning every day. But
Who talked the most shit? Who was like poking nonstop, like outside of Michael?
Hey, by the way, that's not right. Don't show. Why are you showing 2001? That's not Chris Mullin. Come on, that's not the Chris Mullin we know and love. He was a monster.
Who talked the most shit? Who was like poking nonstop, like outside of Michael? I'm assuming Michael was nonstop, but who else was like out of control talking smack?
I want to make another prediction. MJ, Bird, Magic, and Chuck. Those got to be the biggest trash talkers.
I mean, you got Charles Barkley who's doing that all the time, and then everyone gonna always throw up on him. Well, you don't have a championship, and then that's what you have to like tuck his tail between his butt and walk away.
They're still doing it.
At that time, we still had a lot of basketball left in our careers, so Charles always had the comeback line that I'm gonna get mine. So
he was at this. You know what I like about Charles is, when he, Shaq, and Kenny go at it and they do their debate, right? And he says what he says. He never takes it away from himself that he never won, meaning he doesn't give himself an out.
No.
He always calls himself out for not having won one.
Yes.
And you got to respect that because, sometimes guys, they're asked questions. Hey, do you think if your legacy ends and you don't win a championship, you think it's impacted by it? Barkley will say yes, and some guys will say, no, I'm still a great basketball player and all this other stuff. Do you think somebody, you seem like a nicer guy. You don't seem like a guy that wants to ruffle feathers. But do you think your career is tainted if at the end of your career you have that disclaimer that you never won a championship?
I would say in certain situations, but in Charles Barkley's situation, I would say no. I would say no because he won 2 gold medals. He helped globalize basketball all over the world. He didn't have to play in but one NBA Finals, and he didn't win, but everybody knows Charles Barkley because of his personality, because of him working on TNT, but really because he was a heck of a basketball player. He was a great player, and he probably deserved to win a title ran into Michael and the Bulls.
Yep.
But Charles was a heck of a player, and he's had a great career as an analyst as well.
Oh, there's no question about it. He on that area, he may be the discussion as the most entertaining one that gets the most eyeballs. He's got to be up there.
Talking about
as
Charles.
what he's done with that area of his career. But I don't know. I think Charles would say, you're right, and he would take that as a compliment. And he would still say, I wish I would have won one.
Of course.
I think that's what he would have said. But, you know, from his standpoint, and again, that's the part when I watch and Shaq says, I got 4, you got 0. He's such a great example on that side that he still puts the pressure of not having won one.
Yeah.
Chuck.
Yes.
And by the way, for yourself, with the game that you played, opponent, and staying on this Dream Team side conversation that we're having, you know, for those who are NBA fans, they remember when those guys beat you guys up every season. And Tim Grover is a friend where Tim comes in and, you know, he starts training. You see the videos with Michael and him and all this other stuff, and he learns he has to kind of get stronger to get through the middle because those guys aren't, you know, one of my I would play the footage, but we can't because it's the NBA footage. The one where Michael comes in over Ewing and he scores with, I think it's Xavier McDaniel, and just kind of he looks at him and just kind of, you know, celebrates to say he's got the strength now. You can't bully him anymore. So puts his head against, you know, I've probably seen that 4-minute and 40-second clip of them going against the Knicks when he says, I asked my dad, what should I do? Take the lead, and if they don't follow, you know, whatever, you at least will be able to look back. And he gets into Xavier's face right here. I freaking have watched this thing a few thousand times.
Wasn't that from like 92 or 93, though? But I see what he's saying. By then, Michael Jordan was an absolute just savage. You know, no, he wasn't afraid of anything anymore. But he got over the hump with Detroit in 91. So, okay, yeah, it's close.
And just getting into his eyes to tell him, hey, we're not afraid of you. Such a beautiful thing.
And X-Man, it's
but
crazy.
For you guys going up against Pistons and then coming back and, you know, winning and then them walking off, we've heard Michael's version, okay, of the reason why Isaiah didn't make it on the Dream Team. Stats, overqualified. Championships, overqualified. Numbers he put up, I mean, Isaiah Thomas, I think one season put up 38-8 or 28-8. He put up some numbers that just made no sense. Maybe it was even 32-8. Can you put Isaiah Thomas stats? Just type in Isaiah Thomas stats if you could. And go down to, keep going lower.
Stats don't tell Isaiah Thomas'
see what the
story.
Points per game is, Rob. If you can zoom out a little bit to see points. Go lower, 28-8. He had one season that the numbers, and maybe that's Larry Bird that put up the stats like that. But this guy was a 2-time champion.
Yeah, I mean, his numbers are based on his scoring and his assists. So when you're having 20 points and 10, 11, 12, 40. 13 assists, then that's 30 points.
Yep.
Did you know the story that what he did that day, not shaking hands, getting off the field, lamp beer, all of that stuff?
Oh, boy. Here we go.
You knowing Michael, you're like, yeah, he's not going to be on the – did you know that story behind closed doors?
You know,
I hate to say it. I'm actually really sick and tired of this story, but let's get Scotty's perspective. I'm sick of hearing about the Pistons walking off and the repercussions of that.
When that happened, that had nothing to do with the Dream Team. That was in 91. That was our first title.
Yep.
So I don't even think I was on the Dream Team at that time. The Dream Team stuff came up in 92, or, you know, right as that season was starting to get underway.
But I'm talking like Isaiah not being there, and you guys are playing, you know, and the guys are talking to one another. Some guys are also kind of like, wow, he's here, but Isaiah's not here. Was it a known fact that Isaiah wasn't on because of Michael? Because the coach was, I mean, who was your coach? You guys had the coach that.
Chuck
I
Daly?
think it was a known fact that he wasn't on the team. I can't say why he wasn't on the team. I can't even point out that say that any individual put him off the team. You know, basketball is a game built on relationships, and that team was put together based on relationships, players that they felt could get along, players that they felt could play together, and players that they felt like could contribute in the right way to win a gold medal. And you know what? Dominique Wilkins was left off of that team.
Yep.
And
Good
I
point.
personally feel as bad as anyone to see a guy who I idolized, who I looked up to, who I guarded, who I defended numerous amount of times, not be a part of that team. But I didn't want to sacrifice my seat to give it up to him. But with all respect, I felt like he deserved to be on that team as well.
And that's a good point. Like we don't mention Dominique because Dominique never cried about it, but Isaiah gets mentioned all the time. Listen, with MJ and Pippen, they were a duo back then, and they just won. They just won back to back at that point, back to back championships, and we considered them a dynamic duo. MJ, Scottie Pippen. So they went together because you were talking about team chemistry for the Olympics. Yeah, let's get those guys together. Just like let's get Malone and Stockton together. That's built-in chemistry that you cannot break. You cannot deny that chemistry. So Dominique, essentially, he did get ripped off because he was one of the best players in the league easily at that point. No question, no argument. But like Scottie's saying, it was a dynamic of a team for chemistry. And that's not something you can usually reproduce. And we've made that mistake in the Olympics plenty of times since then, where we just put, 12 stars together on a lineup and expect them to play good together. It doesn't always work that way.
It's Isaiah.
Yeah,
I felt like he deserved to be on that team as well, not just Isaiah.
Yep.
yeah. But the biggest thing to me is like it's the head coach is Chuck Daly. He is Isaiah's coach.
Oh, he's going to keep pushing this, isn't
he's the guy that they went together with. You mean to tell me, like, either David Stern is not a fan of Isaiah to say, I'm going to pick Chuck and you're not going to get in. I mean, that's like so to me, it almost has to be a David Stern thing that says, you didn't represent something like this. You disrespect the NBA tradition. I'm going to not put you there, and I'm going to put your coach and Michael, and this will be a taint as the greatest team ever put together you want a part of. That's what I'm trying to say, because I see David Stern as a boss. I see him as
I will not let you say that because I don't think that would be fair. David Stern has nothing to do with USA basketball. So
you don't
I
think
will
so?
correct you on that one. No. He gave them the nod that they could use NBA players, but I don't think when it comes to picking the team, selecting the players.
So as an amateur here,
I don't
tell
think
me,
that the
educate me.
commissioner.
Who picks the team?
I thought it was Colangelo, right? Back then in 92? I was pretty sure it was Colangelo.
Well, it's the people at USA Basketball. And
Who was running the USA Basketball at the time? I'm like, this is something like for me as a fan. I'm
so
curious.
you're gonna have to do your research.
Yeah.
Figure out.
I feel like you listen. I feel like your
CM Newton.
USA Basketball 1992.
CM Newton.
CM
CM
Newton.
Newton. Okay.
See,
so that's,
I think Scottie's got a point here, though, real quick, because listen, Scottie made it apparently clear he didn't want to play with Isaiah. MJ made it clear. I hear Magic made it clear he didn't want to play with him. Larry Bird, at a certain point, like you got the majority of the roster you want outspoken against playing with him. So what are you going to do? You're going to blow up the whole team and just have Isaiah go out there, or are you going to leave Isaiah off the team? Because once again, we're talking about team camaraderie, and having Isaiah could have really messed up that camaraderie. All the while, you can just have John Stockton, up and coming John Stockton in there to take his place, and we did just fine. So I know everyone wants to blame one person, but I think it was much bigger than that.
What's his name? CM Newton.
CM Newton.
Was the president of basketball in 1998 U.S. basketball. During this tenure, he was instrumental in the decision to allow professional basketball players to come to summer, which led to the creation of the Dream Team. He served as the assistant coach of 1984 Olympic gold medal. I think Jordan was on that team, if I'm not mistaken, and was a major influence in the 92, served on NCAA committees, coached at Alabama Vanderbilt before coaching, played basketball, football, and baseball at Fort Lauderdale High School. Shout out to Fort Lauderdale.
Yes, sir.
Played on state championship in basketball. So then I got to, Rob, you got to do this because Scottie is now trying to turn us into a research team. Did CM Newton influence Isaiah Thomas from not making the dream team? Maybe even ask ChatGPT. Maybe dream team.
What is it? AI answering this
Well,
now?
let's see.
Yeah,
Yes, according to reports,
taking over
CM
Google.
Newton, who was a head of selection committee in 1992, is considered to have a role in Isaiah not being selected, as there were strong indications that Michael Jordan, key player, and so on, would not participate if Thomas was on the team, and Newton reportedly facilitated that decision by not pushing for Isaiah's inclusion. Michael Jordan, most accounts point to Michael Jordan alleged opposition to Isaiah Thomas being on the dream team as a primary reason for his exclusion. How close was CM Newton to David Stern? Were they friends or no?
I don't know. I would have to say there's probably some respect there.
Got it.
But yeah, Scottie's not lying here, though. David Stern had nothing to do with the Olympics because prior to this point, there had never been an NBA player in the Olympics. So there was no association. What was going on with Team USA basketball was a whole different organization. And they only started having to communicate, like Scottie said, because David Stern had to relinquish permission. Yes, you can select people from the NBA now. That's all it was.
But yeah, that's the guy that put the team together. So
Yeah, go talk to him.
Well, if I
you
see
know,
a pattern,
and when people say Michael did this or they didn't put him on the team because of the Bulls, whatever, CM Newton was a fan of the game, just like you were. He saw the bad blood between the Bulls and Pistons. So how can he put mix oil and water together?
Yep.
let me tell you, if you really want to get back at Isaiah, you pick his coach and you pick Michael, and you have videos circulating all over the world of Chuck and Michael golfing. If you really, really want to get under someone's skin, I got to tell you, this CM Newton guy is extremely creative to have thought. Obviously, he passed away 6 years ago. May God bless his soul. But if he was that much of a mastermind, by the way, for me, when you're running a company,
I can't pretend like it never crossed my mind, too, because Chuck Daly, of all coaches, it was Chuck Daly coaching the team, and not one Detroit Piston was on that team.
Making decisions sometimes, and there's bad blood with somebody. Let's just say somebody took advantage of another guy, or somebody did something that didn't meet the traditions of a company. You have to set the example and represent the guy that's setting the better example. So I think the right move was made here. And if Michael was not happy about it, you want him to go and play in the dream team, and you have experience with him from 1984. See, I didn't know the connection with him and Michael from 1984.
I didn't know that either.
But listen, by the way, Rob, moving forward, the head of our research team for the NBA is going to be Scottie Pippen. I want you to know this. That's just moving forward. That's what we're doing. Nowadays, more than ever, the brand you wear reflects and represents who you are. So for us, if you wear a Future Looks Bright hat or a Valuetainment gear, you're telling the world, I'm optimistic. I'm excited about what's going to be happening, but you're a free thinker. You question things. But if you believe the future, moving forward about talking
did
about.
I nail it? Nope.
Place your order. Tell the world that you believe the future looks bright. So, talking about, moving forward about talking about, this dream team, Michael, all this stuff. I've noticed, I've watched some of your stuff. I even DM'd you one time, and we went back and forth on the exchange. That was between us. But when your book came out, and you came out with the book came out, I think you said something about how do you want to be remembered? And you said, I want to be remembered as the greatest of all time.
All right, now we're getting into some stuff. Okay.
And this was the Unguarded. And this came out November 9, 2021. If I'm not mistaken, The Last Dance came out during COVID. Was it April of 2020? I couldn't even tell you when The Last Dance came out. If you want to type in The Last Dance 2020 premiere, there it is. Okay, April 19th, 2020. Which, by the way, the timing of that documentary couldn't have been better than the way it did right after COVID, because we all watch it. Sunday night, 2 episodes for 5 weeks.
I real quick, I forgot it was that soon because everything started shutting down March of 2020. So just like 6 weeks later came The Last Dance. What a perfect time. Yeah, it was absolutely perfect timing.
Straight. So you were glued to the screen, 8 o'clock East Coast till 10 o'clock, and I'd bring the guys to my theater room. We'd sit there, watch that documentary together. It was epic. But when you said that, this is the one part that I'm really curious from your end. You said, I want to be remembered as the greatest of all time. And there was kind of a little bit of the conflict where you were not happy about the last dance, about the stuff that was said, and maybe not enough being covered with you guys. You saying, I want to be remembered as the greatest of all time, how much of that was really what you believed in? How much of that was you trying to sell a book?
Ooh.
And how much of that was somebody behind closed doors flattering you, saying you didn't get enough credit for what you did during the Chicago's run?
I think it's just me believing in myself, in the way that I played the game, that I did it the right way. I did it where I won. I played the right way. My teammates loved the way that I played, and people, my peers, respected the way that I played. And I feel like that I got out of the game everything that I put into it, you know. I was a guy that, I was a walk-on, you know. I was a guy that went to 3 camps just to get drafted and end up being the 5th pick. So I feel like the work that I put in over 15, 20 years, you know, before and during my professional career, that I played the game the right way, that I played it where I showed younger players how to be successful and how to enjoy the game. I showed men's, women who is not as athletic how to play the game and to play it the right way and to play it from a team standpoint.
I feel like he totally dodged that question. What about you guys? Like, that wasn't a question at all. But it's the wordage. If he didn't say, I want to be remembered as the greatest of all time, the statement he just made there, perfect. If he just said, I want to be remembered as one of the greats, absolutely perfect what he just said there. But he made a statement saying he wants to be remembered as the greatest of all time. That's a powerful statement.
Yeah, but to say you know the technicalities of this game, and you know during a moment like that, like, you know, the biggest debate is always who's the greatest of all time. And Last Dance comes out, and a lot of people, well, you know, Michael didn't highlight you, Michael didn't highlight Horace Grant, and Horace wasn't too happy about it.
The very first thing in The Last Dance is him highlighting Scottie Pippen. Do people not even make it 5 minutes through The Last Dance? And like, come on, it's in the first couple of minutes.
And, you know, I remember when Horace was in the league with him and his brother, right? If I'm not mistaken, his brother's name was what, Brian? I think it was Harvey Grant, right? And he played for the Bullets, I think. I don't know what it was called back then. I think it was the Bullets, if I'm not mistaken. Also, a big guy. Yeah, Harvey Grant. He played at the Blazers, but I think he started off with the Bullets, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Again, why are we showing him in 1999? Like, show his 92 stats. That should be right around where Harvey was starting to peak.
And by the way, I thought Horace was great because I think Horace came to the Lakers as well 1 season or 2, and he had a pretty good run there as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when you're going through it and you say something like that, this is I think this is a part where, for someone like you that has been as involved in the NBA drama, positive drama, not negative drama. We're not talking about, like, you know, drugs and stuff like that. I'm talking positive drama of the NBA that makes the NBA exciting, that people want to talk about. You know the weight behind you saying the greatest of all time. I'm wondering, was it you fully believe? Because you made some arguments that, you know, sometimes LeBron is a more complete player than Michael. You've had those types of discussions. Remember, I watch you. You don't watch me. I've watched you way more than you watch me. So I've seen you say stuff. You're Scottie Pippen.
Yeah, I've seen
You're
it
not
too.
just a regular player that played in the game. You're a Hall of Famer, top 50. And arguably, when we put our starting 5 together, dude, I want you on my team because I want somebody that plays defense the way you do, that's an all-around guy that as a defensive player, dude, I can only imagine in practice how I was guarding Michael every freaking day in practice. What is that going to do to you? That's a scary job to have to get better at that, right? But you said the greatest. So when I see a fall sometimes, or I see something, is people are in my ear. And sometimes the hardest thing to do in life, I saw my parents get a divorce. And when they got a divorce twice and they remarried each other, each family was saying, she doesn't appreciate you enough. He doesn't appreciate you enough. And this flattery is divisive, to put a little wedge between you. I know it's not a comfortable thing to probably talk about, but did any of that happen where someone was saying, come on, Scottie, Michael would have never won 6 without you. Come on, Scottie. And Michael said it himself, but from your standpoint.
Okay, I mean, good double down. Good double down on this one. Because Scottie was totally trying to get away with this one. So let's see what he's got to say.
No, that's the reason why I say stuff like that is because when you play the game the way that I played it, you play on both ends. Why can't I say that?
Oh, that's okay. You can say that.
So
no one's saying you can't say that.
Yeah, and say it and mean it.
Oh, so you do believe that?
I'm saying, yeah. Look at the stats. I got 6 rings too. Look at my accolades. I got defensive player, all NBA. So playing the game the right way and winning means something to me, and it meant a lot to me. I don't have the MVPs, but guess what? Somebody that was with me got it.
Would you say
I didn't have the final MVP, but hey, we won the championship.
I get that, but that could be to say you would.
Here is my
yikes! This is getting awkward. All right, this is getting weird.
Thing is, to me, before the '90s, I had never in my life heard anything about a GOAT in basketball.
Interesting. Really?
Never.
To be fair, we never used that term at all.
I had never heard anyone say, who's the greatest player in the NBA?
Scottie.
Before the 90s.
Oh, no, we did that.
Who was that guy?
We did that. We did that. I'm sorry to cut him off. I'm going to rewind it after this so I don't interrupt. We always talked about who's the best. We never had the term GOAT, though. We didn't throw it around like this, but we always had debates on whether it was Wilt Chamberlain or Michael Jordan. And then eventually, Wilt Chamberlain was gone. It was Michael Jordan. Kareem was in a conversation too, but it was Wilt Chamberlain more often than not back then. At least it's changed a lot since then. But now we didn't say like MJ's the GOAT. That just wasn't a thing
in the NBA.
Scottie.
Before the 90s, who was that guy then?
Wilt Chamberlain.
If you had heard that, who was that guy?
Wilt Chamberlain.
And why is he not being mentioned today?
I would say the debate pre-90s, you got to realize, I'm in the Middle East during that time.
I understand that. I understand that. So,
the greatest basketball player in Iran was probably a different guy. But if I were to say the discussion, when I hear that one time that I don't know if it was NBA was celebrating the top 50 greatest players of all time, and Wilt and Michael are in the corner having a heated debate. This is a story I've read about. I don't know if that's true or not, but I've read about it in many different places.
Let me just go back a little further.
Please.
Let's go back to the 80s.
Okay.
Before the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go in the mid-80s.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the GOAT?
It was Wilt Chamberlain.
During that era of all time.
Of all time.
I would say there's a strong argument at that time for Wilt being the greatest of all time.
And I agree. I was there. I was a kid. I grew up in the 80s, and that was it. It was Wilt Chamberlain, hands down. Do I agree with that as an adult? No. But back then, that was the narrative. So I'm not saying that was my opinion. That was the opinion of everybody. Michael Jordan had to overcome Wilt Chamberlain in order to become the greatest of all time.
Because the Lakers hadn't yet gone on their dominant, destroyed his opponents.
So why is he not mentioned now? Why is he not? I don't even hear about him now.
Oh, I mentioned Wilt. I mean, you're talking about the guy that has.
He got 13 rings.
Well, no, he didn't get 13 rings. Russell got. You're talking about Russell.
I mean, Russell. Yeah.
I'm talking Wilt.
Well,
Russell got the 11 and the 2 additional ones. Yeah, 13 rings. But there's a difference because we can say Ori got 7, right? Ori's not
Yeah.
in the discussion of all time. But Ori wasn't the face of the team, and Ori
So, what's the credentials to be that guy?
to be the greatest of all time?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a great conversation. I'm curious to know what you say. I'm a fan. I'll give you my opinion, but I want to hear from you.
My
I don't
opinion, real quick, is back then it was who's the greatest individual. That's why Wilt Chamberlain was the GOAT to us back then. Even though he didn't have all the championships that Bill Russell had, we'd never seen an individual like that excel and be that individually dominant. Then Michael Jordan came around and he was individually dominant in the 80s. And then in the 90s, he was the quintessential like perfection of team success as they won 6 championships together while he was the greatest individual at the same time. That's what the new definition of the GOAT is. You have to be the best individual and the best winner at the same time. That's why knocking Jordan off the pedestal is so impossible at this point. You have to be both. And no one's come close ever since. But that's the history of it. It's evolved from an individual to a great individual excelling who also has great team success because it's a team sport. And until somebody comes around and has more team success while also being the greatest individual in the league that whole time, no one's knocking him off.
I think it exists in team sports. I don't think it exists in team sports.
It does, though, because of
Okay.
leadership.
You don't think it exists in team sports?
No.
Can I push back?
Yes, please.
Okay. So there's a part of me that agrees with you in certain games, sports. For example, it's very tough for baseball. I don't know if you're a baseball guy or not, but in baseball, if you say who's the greatest of all time,
Yeah, what position?
you could say Babe because he was a two-way player and he hit the 700 plus. He had 60 home runs in a season. You could say Barry Bonds, but Barry didn't win the chips, and his career in the playoffs is suspect. You could say Willie Mays, 660, defensive player. My argument is Willie. When I have the conversation, it's Willie. But then you could say you forgot about all the
See,
pitchers.
Here's my punchback at that. Did Barry Bonds ever strike anybody out?
No.
So what did he do on the other side of the field to make him the greatest?
He was a Golden Glove guy.
That's weird, though,
he
because
was,
baseball, they did play offense and defense. A better comparison would be the NFL, because except for like Deion Sanders, like no one's playing offense and defense. So that's an impossibility to say who's the greatest of all time in the NFL. But in basketball, we can, because you have to play both ends. So who's the greatest on offense? Who's the greatest on defense? Who's the greatest individual altogether? And then who's the greatest team leader who's leading the team to victories and championships? It's a complicated thing, but you can, in basketball, define who the greatest is, in my mind.
was a good, but he didn't strike people out. But I think it's a different game in baseball than basketball. I think in basketball, when I think about basketball, okay, so maybe let me play this game in a different way with you. You're an NBA owner, Scottie.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to play a game called NBA Draft Pick.
Yeah.
Who's your number one draft pick to put a team together?
All time?
Which era?
Any era. Today, to play today, who do you pick as your number one draft pick?
In today's era player, I'll take Wembyama,
Webby?
the young player with San Antonio.
So your all-time to pick your number one draft pick, you pick Wemby 1. Wow. Who's 2?
Well, you saying now, so I got to look at this era and say, hey, this kid young, he's got 1 year. Yeah.
So you think Wemby
I'll develop him.
You think Wemby in this era does better than Michael would do in this era?
Well, you asked me this era. That's why I asked
I got you.
Yeah,
which
then do
era
all
you
time.
asked
I'm
me
sorry,
to
do
pick.
all
This
time.
guy, this
All
guy
time.
derailed.
Then I'm going to pick my era.
Okay.
I'm going to pick the team that won 6 titles.
Who's your number one draft pick? Player.
I'm going to pick Michael.
Okay.
Nice.
Who's your 2?
I'm going to pick me.
I agree.
Nice.
Who's your 3? To put a team that wins. Who's your 3?
I'm gonna pick Dennis or Horace Grant, whichever era.
I see what you're doing. I see. Okay, so let's just say Dennis is 3. Who's your 4?
Don't matter. Give me anybody. I'll take you.
So let me get this straight. So your mindset is you, Michael, and Dennis will beat any team that anybody puts together.
We did it for 3 years.
Twice.
No, I did it with Horace the first time, but yeah, me and Michael did it
That's
for
right.
6.
That's right. That's fair enough. I'm sorry. Yeah. So that's why I said Dennis or Horace. Okay, but if you're, and I want to qualify this because to me, that could still be a safe space answer because you're still saying that I'm picking us against anybody else. Right.
I'm picking the greatest team against anybody.
Yeah, but when you say you're the greatest of all time, and the GOAT debate, that's still saying that you're ahead of Michael. So your position is still in the game of NBA. You're the greatest of all time, all around.
Wow, he's really drilling him on this one. But it's true. Scottie just contradicted himself. He says he wants to be remembered as the greatest of all time. But if he were to build a team right now, his first pick would be Michael Jordan. How could it not be himself?
I'm speaking from a team standpoint.
Would you put yourself ahead of LeBron?
As a team standpoint.
Would you put yourself ahead of LeBron as a team
snap.
standpoint?
I would.
My success as a team is more successful than LeBron. I got 6 rings.
Now, that might shock some of you people, but I agree 100%. If I was building a team right now, yeah. I would rather have Scottie Pippen be that glue that holds the team together than LeBron James any day of the week. Why? Scottie Pippen plays defense. That's 50%. He's 50% better than LeBron for a team in my mind because he plays the best defense. In fact, arguably like top 10 defenders of all time type of defense. Yeah, Scottie Pippen all day over LeBron for a team.
Okay, so then if I talk to an NBA owner, by the way, this is very helpful because realize this is very helpful because for me as a fan, I've followed this. So if I speak from an NBA standpoint, owner, and I want to find an all-around player to be my number one, you think the average owner is going to pick you or LeBron?
I don't know.
Got it. Okay.
I don't know how to answer that either.
That.
You want individual accolades or you want championships?
Wow.
Because I didn't chase mine.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Holy crap. Okay. I want to hear that one more time. Did you hear that?
That.
You want individual accolades or you want championships? Because I didn't chase mine.
I didn't chase mine. Damn. And individual accolades or championships. Yep. He's calling out LeBron right now. I've actually missed Scottie talking about this stuff. I hope this is a Scottie Pippen comeback, man.
Okay. And that's an argument that LeBron went to Miami. He went back to Cleveland to win with Kyrie, and then he went back to LA to win with Anthony Davis. Michael never had teammates like that, and you had Michael as a teammate. But in this specific context, Scottie, I think this is very important because I'm really trying to understand your position. Is specific with you against Michael. You're still saying Michael's the greatest of all time, but maybe you're saying you're the greatest teammate of all time. Would that be a better way of qualifying it?
That's good middle ground.
I would say, if you want to say it that way. But again, team sports to me, there's no GOAT. There's great teams.
But then why did he say he wants to be remembered as the greatest of all time? He didn't say the Bulls. That's what Jordan says, and that's why it's so legit that Jordan says it. This was the greatest team of all time, and I was a part of it. Scottie, okay. No, he can't get away with that one, though, because he said it on record. He wants to be remembered as the greatest of all time, but now he's saying there is no greatest of all time because it's a team sport. Contradiction.
But as an individual, you got to go to individual sports.
Why can't he just admit that he said that wrong?
Yeah, I think okay, so maybe Well, I mean, the fact that I asked you to draft, who would you pick as number one? Just by you saying Michael won,
I looked
you
at
too.
this era,
Right.
But if you ask me to pick a team, NBA, then I'm gonna pick my era and my team. That's the most dominant team that's played in the game.
Yeah.
There's no team that's done what the Bulls done.
You picked Michael ahead of you, though. So that, in essence, you're saying Michael's the greatest of all time.
Well, he's older than me, so he would have been in the game before me.
You're so funny, Scottie. I am really trying to figure.
You want me to pick
You
myself?
are so funny, Scottie. You are so funny. You're so funny. So, okay, so you're saying era. Wemby in your era, Michael in this era. Who does better?
I think MJ in this era, personally.
Wemby in this era and Michael in this era?
So, no. Wemby goes to your era.
Oh.
And then Michael comes to this era. Who does better?
Probably Michael.
Michael would do better in this era.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I
let's
agree.
go to the next one. LeBron in your era with Michael. Michael in LeBron's era. Who does better?
Probably Michael.
Okay, and then with Kobe, I'm
Agreed.
assuming you're going to say Michael of Michael and Kobe's era. I mean, it's kind of the same.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I would probably still say Michael would do better because remember, Michael era, my era, early on, very physical, 85, 90-point games.
That's right.
Different.
That's right.
In today's game, we're looking at some games that'll get to 130, 140.
Insane. Boring.
And
Yeah.
so I think Michael would have strived off of just being free, open,
Right.
not having the physicality that he had to play with it night in and night out.
Michael in the 70s era.
Would he dominate it?
Okay,
I
so
didn't play in the 70s, but I got to imagine that the game was even just as physical as it was in the 80s.
less rules, right? It was more fights. Guys were, it was a very physical era.
Yeah. And, I mean, I think he would have had success in that era, but the game has changed tremendously. And from the ball handling to the steps that the players take. So, when you ask me that and how successful would he have been in the 70s, I don't know how the officiating would have officiated him.
Scottie, when you're running for office, because your answers are so diplomatic. Let me tell you, man, if you're running for office, listen, you said Reverend Jackson, who was it that you said somebody's got to call you and help Scottie campaign for something here next with the way.
Nothing political.
Yeah.
But
Only reason I'm saying
I think we got the gist of it, though. What Scottie's, what he's trying to accomplish here is to contradict Scottie, saying that he wants to be remembered as the greatest of all time, right? So he's setting Scottie up in a position over and over and over again to say that MJ is the greatest of all time. And Scottie's doing it. He's going right down the path with him. So whether Scottie realizes it or not, it's a major contradiction, because he wants to be remembered as the greatest of all time, but in every situation, every analogy, in Scottie Pippen's mind, Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time, and there's no denying it, because he's like from the end of the previous video to this one, every single time he's picking Michael Jordan. He even picked Michael Jordan over himself in the previous video, but Scottie still refuses to budge here.
I'm teasing you, but your answers are,
But I see a lot of changes in the game when I watch it, and I'm sure it's probably what turned you off is that players are now allowed to take 3 steps going to the basket,
3 to 5.
And so you wonder, you're like, wow, that's not a traveling, but it's not.
Yeah, it's a different game. It's just not as exciting to me, though. Let me ask you this question. You have one of 2 choices. Which of these 2 would you rather have? Would you rather have won a ring without Michael or would you have rather have made an additional $100 million while you played in the NBA?
Give me that $100 million.
$100 million. Seriously.
I got a gold medal ring without Michael, so that did mean a lot. But yeah, definitely would have loved to play.
No hesitation.
In this era.
Would you have rather won that season where you guys got, 47, 48 wins? You guys went, I think you went to the Eastern Conference Finals, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Would you have rather won that year or that additional $100 million?
Oh, I would have taken that $100 million.
How about additional $50 million or that ring?
Okay, to be fair, Scottie Pippen at that point didn't make a lot of money. And it's not like nowadays where you make $100 million in 2 years. Scottie was making like just over $1 million, I believe, a year.
I don't know. Maybe I'll take the ring.
Interesting. So
Wait.
additional $50 million or that ring?
Oh, okay, $50 million or the ring.
I don't know. Maybe I'll take the ring.
Interesting. So the number is what matters. The $100 million.
The rings. It matters to be known as the best. It matters to be the best. It pays to be at the top. So,
Scottie, so let's just say let's change this. I got a weird question for you. I guarantee you're not expecting this question to come to you. You ready?
It's getting intense.
Ready for this one? Okay.
Let's go.
So the great Dominique Wilkins, when he played for the Atlanta Hawks, I think he averaged 35 points a game at one season, and he had multiple 30-point season games. I think he was the only guy that outscored Michael in scoring. If I'm not mistaken, can you pull up Dominique?
Again, why are we pulling up stats from the ends of their careers? God, it looks so bad. This is not representative of Dominique Wilkins, who back then it was Jordan and Dominique going as the best scorers in the league. Oh, man. Pull up like 1990 stats or 89 stats.
Dominique Wilkins stats.
trust me, I was the one he was giving all those numbers to.
Go to the
Dominique
NBA
was a
reference. It does a
monster.
better job showing the stats than this one.
There you go.
Just go to NBA stats and then go lower. Keep going lower, lower, lower. Go to that one right there. That's the one I like the way they break down stats. Okay, zoom in a little bit. Thanks, Rob. Okay, points per game. Look at that right there. 30.3 was the 85-86 season. That's the year I think Michael was hurt when he averaged 30, and he got second in MVP voting, right, that season. But right after.
Okay, right here. Yeah, 30.3. Where was this? 85? Yeah, it looks like 85. Okay, sorry. Not a very straight line. Was that his highest scoring season? 30.7 here in 87. Yep. And it's okay. So that was his peak. It was in 1987 for scoring. Okay.
After 29, 30.7. And then he loses to Michael every year except for the year that Michael was. And then rebounds, look at that, 30 points a game, 7.9 rebounds.
Yeah.
1.8 steals. This guy was a monster.
Oh, he's a beast.
Absolute monster of a guy. And field goal,
Yeah, his
he
percentage
was at that
good.
time 47%. That three-point era wasn't a three-point era. What was his free throw? Oh, shoot, 82%.
Oh.
Damn, good for you. Okay. So here's a crazy question for you. You ready?
Where's it going?
The Bulls don't draft you. You get drafted to the Atlanta Hawks. It's you, Dominique, Kevin Wilkins. Michael doesn't pick you up.
Kevin Wilson.
The Bulls
Or
get.
Willis.
Can you go to the 87 draft? Go to the 1980. What a game we're playing here. 1987 NBA draft. Zoom in. Okay, so where are you picked? You're number 5.
Number 5.
Okay, so Michael and the team, they pick up Kenny Smith. Now, obviously, it's not up to him, but say you go to somehow, some way, you end up with the Atlanta Hawks, and Kenny Smith goes to the Bulls. How many championships do you guys win at the Hawks, and how many championships does Michael win without you going there?
Oof, that's a tough
I
question.
still get my 6.
Stop it, Scottie.
3-3. I thought you knew.
I know the number. Trust me, I know the number. So you'd win 6, you're saying.
Yes.
How many does Michael win?
Baby, He may be somewhere with LeBron, 2, 3, somewhere.
LeBron's got 4 now.
LeBron got. I thought he had 5.
He's got 4. He won 2 with Miami, 1 with Cleveland, 1 with the Lakers. Now you're throwing me off right now. How many did it win?
I am thrown off.
No, Kobe got 5. LeBron got 4. That's wow. I can't believe how we just answered this question though. So he thinks he'd get 6 with Dominique, and MJ would get like 2 or 3. I mean, I can't say who's right or wrong. This is a hypothetical we'll never get to see play out.
He won 4. Okay. He won 4. He's 4 and 6 in the finals, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I would say I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna get my 6.
So you, Wilkins, Dominique,
now he's discrediting the importance of Michael Jordan. He's all over the place, guys. So in every other analogy prior to this, he's saying Jordan's the greatest. He's the greatest. He's the best individual. I'd pick him over myself. Now in this scenario, he's saying Pippen could have won with anybody else, basically. Like Jordan wasn't that important. Me, Scottie Pippen, I could have won 6 without Jordan. That's what he's saying. But Jordan wouldn't have won nearly that much without me. In other words, separate the two, Pippen and Jordan. Pippen would have more success than Jordan. I'll just blanket it. That's a blanket statement right there. That's what he's saying. If they weren't teammates, Pippen would have more success than Michael Jordan would as far as championships. And wow.
Say Michael gets Michael, Horace, and Kenny. You're still getting your 6.
Yeah, they can't stop me. Who gonna stop me then?
That is such an interesting conversation that we just went into. Just because the comments.
It is.
So take Dominic out. Put you Drexler. Put you Drexler, and Michael gets. Let's put Michael and.
It's like a 2K simulation.
Rod, can you pull up top? I'm trying to see who I would pick here.
Small forwards.
Let's put Michael top defensive players NBA 90s. NBA 90s, yeah. 90s NBA. You got to put NBA though. NBA, yeah, there you go. Can you zoom in a little bit? I don't want to look. You're right there. That's why I said Drexler. So, man. So, NBA defense. Okay, go to 1990 rating right there. Elijah Robinson, Lambeer, Rodman, Malone. Zoom in a little bit, Rob, if you could. Mark Eaton, Young. So it's always going to be the centers, but go Mark, Jerome Kersey, Clyde Drexler. Okay, you and Clyde Drexler. I'm trying to get Michael somebody. Keep going lower. Is that all? Okay, keep going, keep going, keep going. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Man, see, that's the thing. The thing with you is...
I was a pretty good fit.
Oh, understatement. Understatement.
Yeah, absolutely, it was.
But you and Drexler, Michael and Barkley. Because Barkley was a BMF.
Oh, he was a beast.
You and Drexler, Michael and Barkley. Who would have had more chips?
I don't know.
I think me and Drexler might get him.
Stop it.
I don't know if Michael will be able to keep his thumb on top of Charles.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if he can hold Charles down.
Meaning keeping him coachable?
Yes, for a season to win a championship.
I see what you're saying. Okay, so keeping him disciplined to be a good Robin.
Yeah.
Very interesting that you're saying that.
Hey, to be fair, Scottie caused a lot of drama and stuff back then with the Bulls too. Not to discredit him at all. That scenario, Pippen and Drexler would definitely win a couple, I think, in their primes. Chuck and MJ would definitely win at least a couple as well. So,
feel like my chances.
I like both of their chances.
This just got very interesting for me. Okay, so disciplined Michael and Karl Malone. You and Drexler. Because Karl Malone's disciplined.
Yeah.
He scored 32, I think 30.
I may give them the edge.
You may give him the edge.
Yeah, Karl's a tough matchup.
Okay. This just got very interesting, Scottie.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this is oof.
Wow. So I learned
This is awkward.
if you have to choose between 100 million and winning a championship without Michael, you take the 100. But
Yeah.
if it's 50, it looks like you did accounting in your mind. You're like 50 million, 50% taxes, agent, 20 ends up to me. I'll take that chip.
Yeah.
That was interesting. And then Dominique just got into the conversation today, and Drexler and a bunch of these other guys. When's the last time you and Michael spoke?
Right around the pandemic.
Oh, so it's been a minute since you.
Yeah.
Is that the text exchange when he shot you a text May of 2020 and he said, "Hey, Scottie, I heard you're upset. Let me know when you have a minute to speak." Is that the last time you guys spoke?
Something like that.
Something like that. And did you actually call him? Like, did you guys talk or did you just text him?
No, I think we ended up speaking briefly.
Did it end up being good, the conversation?
Yeah, I guess. Good and final.
That's what it was.
Whoa.
Good and final.
Wow.
Because of you or because of him?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I don't want to pick because of who. It's just
Got it.
good and final.
What's more likely to happen?
Whoa. I just got to. Wow. So that's it. Like, I've been asked, all of us have been actually, like in the comments and everything, we've been asking and hoping that these two, they mend this and it becomes water under the bridge someday. But Scottie just made it public and said, no, it's final. It was done. Like, that's the final conversation he ever wants to have with MJ. Dude, this podcast is getting crazy.
Me going to Carbone in the next 5 years. Carbone in Miami. I don't know what's your favorite restaurant. Let's say Flagler's in Palm Beach because it's closer to golf. Is it more likely of me seeing Michael and Barkley having dinner at Flagler's in Breakers, Palm Beach? Or is it more likely for me to see you and Michael having dinner in the next 5-10 years at Flagler's?
I don't know what kind of dream you be having. But,
What do you think, though? Which of those two is more likely to happen? There's a Vegas odds. Like, we're trying to bet some money here on this one. I mean,
I don't know. That's a tough one. I don't spend that much time in Florida, so I would probably say maybe highly likely, maybe Charles.
over you.
Yeah.
Got it. It's
unfortunate. I'll say that.
That's wild. And would you say a big part of it is The Last Dance and how that was portrayed? Would you say that was it? Would you say, because I sit there and I watch, for me, Kobe. I had Kobe at one of our events, the late Kobe. I love Kobe. Kobe and I are 6 weeks apart, our birthdays, and
Wow.
I watched him play. We had a relationship at the tail end of his, not even career, his life. And it was a great moment. And he said some stuff about Shaq, and then Shaq and I had a conversation together years later, and it was great. And my son, till today, he's met a lot of different people. His favorite athlete he likes to talk about is Shaq. Shaq is his, Dylan loves Shaq.
Nice.
Yeah. That's cool.
So, and then when you saw that one interview with Shaq and Kobe, they're sitting across from each other.
Yeah.
Right? That conversation that took place. And then you saw one with Magic and Isaiah. I don't know if you remember those interviews that they did like 10 years ago, something
Yeah,
like that.
I've
8
seen
years
both
ago,
of them.
10 years ago. It was great to see Shaq and Kobe together. It was great to see
It was awesome.
Isaiah and Magic together, where Isaiah got emotional and he got up and they hugged each other, and that whole thing with the two of them. Why is the tension so high with anything related to Michael? You and Michael, Barkley and Michael.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I just think that Michael is a very difficult person to deal with. I played with him for years, so I know that, when it's time for you to move in your direction, then go in your direction. Don't sit there and try to procrastinate or stretch it. That the relationship is not where it was or not what it used to be, and it's never going to be the same. So Why try and make something out of nothing, or try to make something that was never there? So,
Whoa. Wow. So, am I to get the impression that Scottie wanted to mend things, but Michael Jordan didn't? But Michael Jordan reached out to him when he found out that he was upset, and they had a phone conversation. But something in that conversation made Scottie believe this is the final time they're going to talk. I don't know, guys. I don't know. This crap's all over the place.
Yeah.
great teammate, but we just never were great friends.
Never, even when you guys played.
No.
So when you guys were at the Dream Team, that one clip when Ahmad Rashad asks and says, you know which one I'm talking about, when Ahmad says, hey, Michael, question for you. 3 seconds left, fourth quarter. Who do you want to get the ball to go shoot whatever? And he says, me. You know which clip I'm talking about? He says, Ahmad Rashad.
Yeah,
says,
I know the clip.
Yeah.
no, you says, yeah, what kind of a question is that? And then you guys are getting off the bus. He says, Scott, this is the one right here. I don't play the clip. Actually, you know what? You may be able to play the clip. Yeah, play the clip here. Do we have audio or no, Rocks? I can't hear that. Back up a little bit.
Dumb question. Who would take the last shot? Me. That's a dumb question. Me.
So, and then if you want to pause it, and this is, I think it's the right moment while you guys are getting off the bus and saying, where's Scottie? We got to go play golf. Where's Scottie? I think he's having that conversation. Did you guys golf a lot together or no?
Never.
You guys never golfed?
No.
So who was he talking about to go golf with him, Rob? Wow, you guys never golfed together.
No.
So when you guys played together, how often was it for you guys to have dinner together?
I mean, we may have like a pregame meal or something like that, but it's always a big party of people.
How many times did just you and Michael have dinner in Chicago? Chicago has a lot of great... Scottie, stop it.
Why?
Scottie, stop it.
Why?
Never.
You and Michael never had dinner together one-on-one?
No.
We know Jordan did this kind of stuff with a lot of people, especially golf, and then like going out with Oakley and stuff like that. Like, I mean, this is a two-way street. Is this a Scottie Pippen thing or a Michael Jordan thing? I don't know.
Never.
Michael's house just sold, the one in Chicago,
Yeah.
right? I think it sold for like $9.6 million or some number like that.
It
If I'm not
finally
mistaken.
sold.
We like the house. We were interested, but possibly doing something with that because the history in it. How often did you guys hang out in that house, go shooting, basketball, talking, mentally getting ready for the playoffs?
I never shot basketball there. I actually would go over in the morning when Grover was training. We would train together.
Scottie, can you get the mic a little bit closer?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was actually, I would train with Michael. I guess the last 3 championships that we won, we trained together at his house.
Yeah, I
But
heard it was Grover, Pippen, Ron Harper, and Jordan. And I think I heard that from Ron Harper.
Other than that, we didn't really put a lot of time in away from basketball. Most of our time was spent, whether we were working out or on the practice floor.
That's so wild to me because, that feedback was given sometimes about Kobe. That Kobe wasn't a guy that hung out with his teammates. First run that he had. And then Phil, the story about Phil brings Michael in and he says, hey, Michael, I want you to meet Kobe. And Kobe says, I'd beat you one-on-one if we played one-on-one, right?
Yeah.
That exchange. And then Kobe eventually, you can tell him and Pau became best of buddies, brothers, family. You see Pau with Vanessa, with family. It's emotional, all of that stuff.
MJ had his buddies too.
That's hard to believe, Scottie. Would you would you say he was such a? Oh man, that's
Yeah, I would hate to be in his shoes right now because I'm dumbfounded too at this point. Like, I don't know what to say about this. I'm confused.
because sometimes when a guy is such an alpha at the highest level, the idea sometimes to lead your guys is be close enough to influence, but far enough to not make them too comfortable with you. The Prince Machiavelli talks about that. A lot of leaders talk about that, and it doesn't make sense to the average. It's kind of like, what are you talking about? Is go build a relationship, go build a bond, et cetera, et cetera. Some guys go that route. I wonder how much of that was more from his analysis of, listen, I'm above, I'm the leader, I'm the head guy here, and he didn't want to get too close to his guys. Especially if you're saying you guys never had dinner together, Scottie?
No.
And you never golfed because you weren't a golfer? Or are you a decent
I
golfer?
think a little bit of both. I'm decent,
Okay.
but I didn't really care for the game much when I played.
When
There's
season
no way he didn't ask him to golf. Because, like, Jordan asked everyone, at least in the final three-peat, we see footage of it. He's asking everyone to go golfing with him, but only a couple go. Like, for instance, Dennis Rodman didn't go because he was like, screw that, I'm going to the strip club. So certain people would go and hang out with Jordan and golf, but it seemed like it was always an open invitation for everybody. And why I say it's a two-way street is perhaps Scottie Pippen just said no all the time. It's hard to tell because we've caught Scottie in a lot of lies. It's kind of like dealing with LeBron James. Because, like, at a certain point, when you've lied so much, it's like, it's hard to know what the real truth is. And it's hard to know which is the lie, or are they both lies? Because there's a lot of contradicting things that he said throughout his years.
ended and it's off season, how often did you guys hang out in off season?
0.
Who was your guy? Was it more Horace? You and Dennis? You and
Probably
BJ
more
Armstrong
Horace when
was-
I was there. I was probably more Horace.
who was close to Michael on the team?
Harp was.
Him and BJ were close. I mean, when he came back to that one practice when BJ and him speaking
I
and saying,
mean,
hey,
this is so awkward. But Harper, obviously, Randy Brown hung around MJ all the time. I think him and BJ were close in the first run. Oakley and him hung out all the time when they were teammates. There's a lot of people.
hey, come and shoot a little bit.
I don't know about that one, but if you say so.
Well, no, listen,
on,
if I'm
Scottie.
saying it, I'm just saying it because
Yeah.
I read about it. I don't know if I have the credibility of having been there. I just read about it.
Yeah. I mean, there were times when guys that were brought in that kind of bonded with Michael, Sam Vinson, Darrell Walker, but those were veteran players that had been around him probably previously, probably from college. But as far as players that he played with in the 90s, he didn't really bond with players on that team.
But I thought he was good friends with Oakley. I thought him and Oakley were
100%.
very good.
Oakley wasn't on that team.
No, but Oakley from the beginning era when he was coming up. Wasn't Oakley one of his teammates when they got rid of him? He was upset about it because he liked Oakley
Yep.
and they had a friendship together.
Yeah, that's the story that's was told, but
What? Yeah, what?
I don't know where that relationship is today.
They're still friends.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't
They're
know.
like best friends still. What? Man, Scotty's really throwing me for a loop here.
What that relationship is today. But I don't know which story it was when one time you guys are playing the Knicks and he says, hey, Oak, let's go have dinner together. Oh, this was part of his Hall of Fame speech, if I'm not mistaken, when Pat
It
Riley
is.
said, no, was it Pat Riley? Was it Pop?
It was Jeff Van Gundy.
Pat didn't want the Knicks players hanging out with us.
Well, Pat ran it like a mob boss. Pat wasn't a regular, he was a, and then Michael's like, what do you mean? No, I can't because I'm with the Knicks. So Pat Riley Hall of Fame, the greatest respect you can have for great players to show them none. During the 1993 Eastern Conference Finals between the Knicks and the Chicago, Riley's comment was in response to Bulls' complaints about officiating. Go a little bit lower. Riley believed that players should be hardworking and disciplined. Riley's supposed to work with the Knicks, who advanced 94 final. Riley is considered one of the greatest NBA figures of all time. He won 7 championships. Yeah, and he owns the patent on three-peat, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Riley never three-peated. Okay. This is getting derailed really fast here.
Who Rob, can you...
What the hell?
Who was Michael's best friend in the NBA?
I don't know. You got Charles Barkley.
Yeah, Charles Barkley.
While they played.
Ewing, Oakley.
I don't know.
By the way, so we can, transition to the next story, but I'll tell you how I process this. And Scottie, whatever I say, please tear it apart. Don't just kind of let me get away with saying this here. Okay, I want you to tear it apart and say you have no clue what you're talking about. So there's no way a guy does what Michael did. The number of scoring titles, Finals MVP. One guy who was the MVP, Finals MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and he's only 4 people have ever done that, and he's the only guy that's done it 4 times. The one that we all read about and we all see about.
Yeah.
And a number of seasons, he played 82 games, and the phrase about the fact that I'm not going to miss a game because a father, maybe the only game he's bringing a son over to the game, that I'm going to go out there and give my best because I owe it to that father that brought his kid. And being a guy that was a sportsman, the face, taking it to different eras. There's something that he said at the end of The Last Dance. And I'm curious to know how you process this, because I don't know if anybody's asked you this. Remember at the end when he gets emotional and he steps away and he says, look, if you can't understand me, that we did this and I wanted to win and I wanted to do this and da-da-da-da. And that was the only time that he got emotional and he got away. How did you process that moment when he's looking at that iPad? And he's kind of giving a message, and he needed a break.
What Jordan really said there was, what did he say? He said, he was saying, I wouldn't ask anybody to do anything I wasn't willing to do. And if you don't want to play, the way that I want to play, then that's okay. You don't have to play with me. Something along those lines. And then he was like, pause, because he got emotional about it. I want him to ask Scottie what happened at the very end of the documentary, where he says, if Phil would have come back, then I would have come back, and then Kerr would have come back, and Dennis would have come back, and Scottie probably would have come back. I want to hear the answer to that question. Would you have come back to defend a championship for his 7th possible title if they didn't blow up the team? That's what I was hoping he was going to ask that question right there. Because that was the end of the documentary, not what he's talking about here.
I didn't see it.
You didn't watch The Last Dance?
I didn't see that part of it.
So you didn't watch all the 10 episodes?
No.
After what episode did you stop watching it?
Probably 6, 7.
I have a hard time believing that.
Yeah, something like that.
You saw that episode. Was that the one where you're like, you know what? Screw this, I'm done.
Yeah, I didn't want to see it. My kids got turned off on it, so it's kind of turned me off. So I didn't have any interest to watch it anymore.
Yeah.
Guys, do you believe it? I don't believe it. I just don't. I don't.
Very interesting. Very interesting. But to me, sometimes it's when a guy that comes in and is the lead dog and got a lot of the thorns that came his way, it's very hard to be a Michael. And I think it's also very hard for anybody to understand Michael. Anybody to understand Michael. I think there's only a few guys that can probably expound on that to understand the level of, craziness to compete and the drive. And it's not a, I don't know how many people you can put in that to compare it to. Maybe a Brady and a couple other guys that,
I was thinking Brady and
That's
Kobe,
so
possibly.
I just learned a lot, Scottie.
Oh, yeah. Well, I will say he Michael, he was built different, competitive 24/7. Not too many people are built like that.
I agree.
Willing to compete at any level and at anything. So when you look at these players in today's era, being LeBron, there's really no comparison when you talk about the level of competitiveness. Michael bunched up all of his competitiveness and sort of exposed it out to the world within 12 to 14 years. We saw his whole resume, his competitiveness, his drive, his will to win, what he's want to do. When someone like LeBron has to spread that out for 20 plus years, it's not the same drive. It's not the same fight. It's not the same hunger.
I agree.
And so when people try to make those comparisons of those two players, it's like talking to someone in the front seat and the back seat. They ain't even in the same lane.
Bus rider, bus driver.
Did you see today? By the way, what a freaking point you just made. Condensing time frames. You know, I don't know if you saw the stat today. Who posted it that said, yes, LeBron may have passed Michael in the most 30-point games. It'll take another 32 years to pass Michael in 40-point games, right?
Yeah. It's like, it's not even worth talking about.
The two of them.
When you ask who's better, LeBron or Michael, you can't ask me who's the GOAT between LeBron and Michael. Neither one of them are GOATs. They both won differently. You can't put them at the top of the pinnacle. Magic Johnson, to me, is a bigger GOAT than anybody because of how he led, how he brought a whole team, how when the greatest scorer in the game, Kareem, was not there, and him as a rookie
Center
steps in and plays a position that no one even knew he could play. That's transcending what you can do as a player.
I mean, I'll give Scottie, there's a reason why Magic's on my top 5 all time easily. But I feel like he's dodging this again.
Yeah, that's why when you ask the question, how do you define it for GOAT, your definition is very different. You know.
It is. And for those of you who haven't watched the other parts, Scottie's definition of the GOAT is the best team player. And if that's the case, I might give it to Tim Duncan, according to his definition.
To me, the definition of comparing a LeBron versus a Michael, you know, LeBron had a Wade, LeBron had a Bosh, LeBron had a Kyrie, LeBron had a Anthony Davis, and Michael had you.
It's a different game, too.
It's a different game, too. I think for me,
LeBron got lanes every night. When we played, there were no lanes.
Yep, 100%.
Wasn't nothing but hardwood floor. If you go to the basket, you're going to hit the wood.
Absolutely.
There's no comparison. There's the basketball in the late 80s into the early 90s. Physical, hard nose, no layups. Earn it from the free throw line. Today's game, it's about three-point shooting. It's about driving it to the basket, finishing.
Non-contested.
Did you hear me say, earn it at the free throw line? That doesn't even exist in today's game.
Nope. Nowadays, they step out of the path of the offensive player driving through the lane. I mean, if there's even somebody in there, they're so spread out now. It's wide open lanes. I agree. I agree with Scottie when he's just talking about basketball and basketball philosophy a lot, actually. It's the other stuff.
It's just about shooting the ball, shooting the ball.
You said one time when you had a conversation with Michael about when he went to the Rockets and Barkley was a teammate and he said something to you. He says, I probably should have listened to Michael a year ago when he said that Charles will never win a championship because he doesn't show any dedication. He's a very selfish guy. he said all this stuff to you, right? That's my reason for wanting to get away from playing with him because he just doesn't show the dedication. You know, those are tough words to be said from Michael to a friend, that is Charles. Looking back now and having the wisdom that you have today, you had a lot of, everybody wanted you. You could have gone anywhere.
Yep.
Anybody and everybody wanted you. What would have been a different situation? What do you look at where you said,
well, I'm going to be honest that my options weren't that great.
Really?
Because of the way that the CBA
Got it.
was set up.
Got it.
And
Who did you have as options?
well, I had Phoenix, but it was for less money.
Got it.
To be fair, at that point, he had not gotten truly paid yet as a basketball player, so I understand he was trying to secure more money. He would have fit in pretty good here in Phoenix, though.
I think Philadelphia didn't want to go play in a cold climate.
You could have
Who
played
did
with
Philly have at
He
that
could have played with Allen Iverson. That would have been a year 3 Allen Iverson, I believe.
time? Was it AI?
Yeah,
Was it still AI? Or was it?
It was AI.
Yeah, it was AI
Yeah,
because it was tail end. So it would have been AI.
yeah.
They had. Well, he didn't have. He had Dikembe Mutombo, I think. I don't know if he had a left
Yeah,
already.
I showed no interest.
Got it.
but yeah, it could have been Mutombo, AI, and Scottie Pippen. Shoot, they could have got some rings out there.
I definitely wanted to be in a warm climate, and I saw Houston as an opportunity for me really to play with two veteran guys, and that we could, make something happen real quick. And it was the lockout season, but it was definitely a short-lived. In fact, Charles started out working out with me, and he was all dedicated and working out me and him with Grover. I took Grover down there, and he lasted about a month.
I believe it.
Was it because what? It's just a little too much with Grover. He's
No, it wasn't too much for Grover. It was too much for him.
no. That's what I'm saying. To go with Grover, it's a little too much for Charles.
He wanted to enjoy his nightlife, and our workouts were predicated on getting up in the morning and training before practice.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that, and it's when the business pays you a lot of money and you have the ability to go party. Sometimes it's hard to say I want to get up and go get that ring. And for everybody, by the way, who's your favorite teammate you ever had, and who was your best teammate you ever had?
Wow. Well, can I give them both to Michael? I mean, I can't knock him and say he was a bad teammate. I can't.
I gotta stop right there. Oh man, he did it again. You guys know the famous quote from a couple of years ago. Michael Jordan's a terrible teammate. He's terrible to play with. And now this. Is Scottie Pippen just a pathological liar? I'm so disappointed in this. I'm really disappointed in this whole thing. Damn.
I mean, I can't knock him and say he was a bad teammate. I can't knock him and say he wasn't my favorite. I mean, we had a lot of success. So I would say he probably fit both of those categories.
Do it, man. Do it. Call him on it.
Scottie, you're interesting, buddy. I got to tell you, who's your second favorite?
Damn, that was a perfect opportunity. Just pull up the quote.
I mean, I love playing with Horace Grant. I love playing with Dennis. And I would probably say Horace was probably my favorite at first because we got drafted together. We went to the Bulls together. We won our first 3 championships.
Again, they're doing it, by the way. This was when Horace Grant was at the end of his career. So this does not represent who he was as a player. If they would have pulled up 93, 94, what he did in Orlando, that was probably his peak. Oh, boy.
Together, but he ended up leaving. So the bond with Michael became better, and just on the court, really, not not off the court, but
More dinners with Horace than Michael, that's for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Is that cat story true, by the way?
What's the cat story? I got to hear this one.
Whose cat got sick or someone's cat
Oh,
died?
no,
or what
no,
is that
no.
kid? Tell me
That's
this.
not a true story.
Scottie, be
That's
honest here, because this
that's
cat's...
that was like a Horace Grant sort of I'm skipping practice kind of.
By the way, there's probably only going to be 3 people listening to the story with the cat. But what's the cat story?
Well, Horace Grant would always skip practice.
Why would he skip practice?
His cat got sick.
It was a joke, though.
Yeah.
Did he actually have a cat?
No.
So who actually believed it? Was it like is it a joke, or was he seriously? He would say my
like
cat's
a joke, but because NBA players, if you call in and say you're sick, the team can't do nothing but take your word, right?
Yeah.
So Horace would always, not always, but he'll call in occasionally and say he was sick. And so we had this older coach, Coach Johnny Bach. He was our defensive coach. So he always would say, well, his cat got sick. Well,
and it stuck.
yeah.
But in reality, he never got sick to say because of his cat.
No.
It was a joke that the coach made. Well, listen,
Yeah, no, we
That-
do that in every workplace, so that makes perfect sense.
coach, that one little joke is still here.
It's still
30 years
relevant.
later,
Yes.
40 years later. Got to give him credit. So, final stuff before we wrap up here. In regards to Zion, okay, in regards to some of these guys that are coming in, they're getting paid what they're getting paid. I remember Michael said something about, like, some of these guys are getting paid without having to earn it. I don't know when this was, he said. It could have been 20 years ago or 15 years ago. He said it a while back. When you look at a Zion, have you ever spoken to him one-on-one and trying to coach him and give him feedback, or no? Have you guys?
No.
So,
Not at all.
okay, so if Zion is listening, I mean, he so many people give him feedback of what to do. This is a guy, if I'm not mistaken, he's got a 43-inch vertical leap. I don't know what the number is. Rob, can you pull up Zion's vertical leap? I've seen 41, I've seen 43, I've seen 46. Okay, so 45 and 46 and a half vertical leap. Okay, I don't know what the number is, but he's got a big vertical leap. The weight, the ripping the shoes in college when he's playing is like, when Paul George jumping in and, you remember this guy's the amount of power that he has. A guy like Zion Williamson, who's right now, I think, only 24 years old, do you foresee him changing and being able to have a long-standing career performing Hall of Fame type of guy, or you don't see that happening?
I don't.
No, I don't see it happen.
Yeah, no way.
I don't know how much longer he's going to be on the court. I mean, I think that the organization has bent over backwards to maintain some professionalism to the fact that this kid is not even on the court. He's not even working to be a professional basketball player. It's almost like when you watch him, you're seeing a kid sitting on a college bench and still hasn't found what's going to be fruitful for him in life, whether it's his diet, putting the right people around you, getting yourself ready, staying healthy. I don't know what to say about his career thus far, because all indication shows me that if there's a lockout, if there's any injuries major to him, it's going to take him out.
Yeah. I see him as like a Ben Simmons kind of guy, where it's lifestyle first, the NBA lifestyle first, and then the basketball part comes second. And I'm not a fan of this. And Zion, man, yeah, I don't know. Can you guys imagine him getting another big contract? Because I really don't. After all this, I wouldn't understand why anybody would.
The lockout, it's going to take him out because what? Lack of discipline, putting on weight, getting to 300 pounds?
Eating. He hasn't shown that he's disciplined enough to take care of himself physically yet.
Yep.
Is he savable?
Oh, he's definitely savable. There's a lot of GMs out there watching and hoping that New Orleans sort of dropped the ball. I mean, there's organizations out there would love to embrace this kid and really get him to where he can be a great NBA player, because I think putting him in a position where he is sort of a veteran. I mean, I looked where the kid that went to Duke is the oldest player on their team. Well, he's probably 3 or 4 years older than Zion. So veteran leadership around this kid may help him.
I mean, Charles Barkley credits Moses Malone for saving his career. I just don't. It doesn't seem like Zion would actually care. I think that's a difference. He's already so rich, he doesn't have to care. Barkley was making, breadcrumbs back then in the early 80s. So he had to keep playing in order to make enough money to retire. And the difference also was Charles Barkley wasn't getting injured all the time. Charles Barkley was notoriously overweight, but he wasn't getting hurt all the time, especially early in his career. Zion, obvious weight problems, man, he's getting injured constantly. He's never on the court, so he's not fulfilling his contract. Never seen anybody like him.
To help jumpstart his career, in a sense that it's just as important for him off the court to work on himself as it is on the court.
Who do you think would put him in his place where he would have a level of fear and respect for that person?
Either gonna make him or break him.
Somebody like
but
that.
I like Pat Riley.
Oh, yeah.
In the Miami Heat organization.
Well, you saw how much heat Pat got this week when Jimmy's saying he wants to leave, and somebody came out. I don't know who came out and criticized Pat, saying you're just too much. You're always pushing people out. Who said that about Pat? Somebody criticized him hardcore, and he said maybe you're right. Maybe it is time.
Yeah.
Who
I don't know
him?
who said that about Pat, but I did see where he kind of took the blame and pointed it back at himself and said, maybe I am, but...
Oh, Paul Pierce it was. I saw Paul Pierce saying, if you can pull it up, Rob. Paul Pierce slammed Riley for disrespecting Butler, the 6M All-Star. Once I get whatever I get out of you, you can get the F out of here, Pierce said. That's what Pat Riley's mentality is. Yeah. And then Pat Riley said maybe he's right, but man, I don't know if I agree with that.
I don't know if I agree with that. But the important part was Scottie's answer, and I think that's make or break. I would predict break. It would break Zion. But yeah, go into Miami. You don't have a choice because you have a body fat weigh-in situation where you don't get to play if you're over a certain body fat. The only person he made an exception for was Shaq. But he ain't going to do that for Zion, I'll tell you that much. Because
I have a hard time with that mentality with Pierce saying something like that. Look, he can say whatever he wants. He scored 26,000 career points. He's a legend and a champion when they won. But
well, I don't want to say it the way Paul Pierce said it, but it's been known for many years that the Miami Heat does exactly what Paul Pierce said.
Let's say he does. Okay. Who else can shape up? So why did LeBron, Dwayne, and Bosh go there? Why did so many people want?
Well, they left.
No, I get that, but they won championships.
Yeah. Well, when you're young, you can work for Pat Riley, but as you get older, like a Jimmy Butler, his system will break you down.
I can see that.
What about Haslam? What about Alonzo? I see where they're getting at, but there's examples to contradict it.
And by the way, you know what that could tell me as well? Look, Nick Saban wasn't a good NFL coach, but he went and became the greatest college football coach of all time.
Yeah, but I think you have to look at the game differently from a whole perspective.
What do you mean by that?
These players ain't about winning championships no more.
Oh.
They're about running a business.
That's it.
Got it.
Yeah, there it is. Lifestyle first, basketball second.
Okay. So Jimmy Butler knows that his body is his business. And if you want to continue to use my service, then
pay me.
Take care of my business.
What a bad way of looking at it for the fan.
It is.
What a bad way of looking at it for the fan.
I hate to say that the fans have to see it that way.
Yeah.
But the players got to maximize what they can get in such a small window.
So interesting you're saying that. I mean, I can bring up some stats. Maximize earnings. So, Scottie, when you played, the median NBA salary in 93-94 season was $1.3 million.
Well,
that was a median salary, $1.3 million, right? These guys, right now, it's $5.57 million. The average salary today in the NBA, at that time, the average salary was $1.75 million. The average salary today in the NBA is $11.124 million.
And mind you, that's average. So we're not talking about the $50 million. Because they were talking about stars, you know, Jimmy Butler, Zion, stars. We're talking $50 million a year.
That's almost 6x. That's not 7x.
How much do you have to maximize that?
In all fairness, I'm always be on the player side.
I understand that.
So
you ought to be.
I definitely think that, from a player standpoint, I've been in this situation. I've been in the game that you got to maximize your value. You're not going to stay that valuable forever. So Jimmy Butler's value is up right now. In 2 to 3 years or whatever, it may not be up. So I respect him speaking.
This is actually nothing to do for me with Jimmy. Jimmy, go do what Jimmy wants to do. This is not a Jimmy conversation. To me, this is a Paul conversation because watch what you said. When I ask you, who do you think can shape up Zion?
Yeah, I
said Riley.
I said Paul Riley's the way they do it. But I also said
Young.
He's going to make him or break him.
Yeah, that's what I call it too.
Listen, my opinion, you ain't going to find too many Rileys nowadays. You're just not. And
no,
for me
but there's not going to be that type of management in the game much longer.
Unfortunately.
Because players are now
empowered,
have a lot more balance. They have a lot more rights in the game in terms of not playing with injuries, not playing back-to-backs.
See, to me, you know what that says? Try that mindset in the NFL. It won't work. Good luck with that mindset in the NFL. And in the NFL, these guys are, you're talking about life-ending risk on the line the way you play. Neck, paralyzed, all this other stuff, okay? You don't hear stuff like that. The worst thing I've seen in the NBA last 30 years was Paul George. Remember that hole when he came down on the leg and it broke?
That was Olympics.
That was,
Olympics, yeah.
No, he was with the Pacers when that happened. I don't think it was the Olympics.
No, it was USA.
Can you pull up when he did that? I thought he was, I don't know which one it is. It's right there. It's the third line, second picture. Third line, right there. That's him right there. Yeah, when he broke the leg, it literally split in half, right?
Yeah, it was USA basketball.
I think that's a part.
I don't know why. Certain things are slipping past them. But, yeah, it was obviously USA basketball. Right there. Like, it was, it was USA ball right there. Not that it's important to this whole thing, but whatever.
Part of why it's unattractive to watch this game. Don't get me wrong. A person's going to come up like George Karl.
That was the Olympics, though.
Yep.
Was it maybe you're right. Yeah. Maybe it was the Olympics.
It was.
Based on what it was the Olympics. You're right. It was the Olympics. No, you're right about this one. You were wrong about LeBron winning only 2. He won 4, but you're right about this one here. So, to me, I think that's what's unattractive about the NBA. I think the players are so protected and it's like, oh, my God, don't offend the players.
So
God
you
forbid
think that's what's hurt the game?
No, yeah, because the priority is not fans first. You forget who, like, for example, anybody that becomes too wealthy in business, the moment I forget that we don't have this business with our guys that are working as hard as they're working, or the viewers that are watching, and you start thinking you're pompous and everything's around you,
Yep.
What are you talking about? You have nothing without the fans. If you don't have the fans, who pays you?
Exactly. The fans are your customers, 100%. If you start neglecting your customers, even belittling them, people vote with their wallets all the time. So that's us voting with our wallets.
Fans, the guy that created the game, and then fans showed up and the fans kept supporting, and that caused to get more eyeballs and sponsorship, and that was able to get guys from getting paid $80,000 a year, $20,000 a year, to making 80 grand sometimes a minute you play for some players, right? This game is a very, very different game today. But what's this one, Rob? This is Colin Cowherd saying what?
It kind of back to what you were talking about, being detached from the regular people, being detached from the fans and the effect it's had.
What do you think about Colin, by the way?
Oh, I fucking love him.
Really?
So, yeah.
Play this clip, Rob.
Goodell has navigated a multitude of cultural changes. That CTE issue, that was bad and overlooked for a long time by a previous commissioner or two. And here he's made the PAT interesting. He tinkers, he evolves. And the NBA, meanwhile, ratings are down 48% in the last 12 years.
Crazy.
And they have fallen off a cliff this year. And Adam Silver's solution is let's make the courts brighter. And I like the NBA, but the All-Star game is now embarrassing, and I think load management is a shame on the league. It is a really bad look for a family of four to go to a game and Giannis doesn't play or Embiid doesn't play. I'm sorry. Go ask the Democrats. Be warned, once you detach from regular people in America, you will pay a price.
What do you think about what I just said?
That's true fact. I mean, fans are students of the game as well. They're not just fans, you know. They know the game. And so you seeing players over there that you worked hard all week to earn money and to bring your family out for a family evening, and now they got sitting over there in sweats. That's not even a team uniform. And it's like, really? Is this what I save my $800
Yeah,
for?
exactly.
To come see this guy stand on the sideline?
Yeah.
So,
But
yeah.
guys, in the comments, when was the last time you actually paid for a basketball game? Like you went out, you went to a game live, you paid for it, and did you feel like you got your money's worth? I'm curious. For me, it's been years because I'm like a hardcore advocate of voting with my wallet. So I'm not doing it. And I'm not going to do it even though we have 3 stars here in Phoenix. More often than not, whenever I watch a game at home, at least 1 out of 3, sometimes 2 out of 3 of those stars are not suiting up that day. So I don't know. I don't know where my money's going. If I put a couple $100 into this, I buy a ticket or I buy a couple tickets for like a buddy of mine. I don't know where that $400, $500 is going to go. There's no guarantee that any of these players are going to show up to work that day. So I'm curious what you guys think, and also when the last time you've been to a game is.
He's truly right. I mean, but that's the direction of where the game is. You cannot make players play. And to be honest, this will continue to go on.
Oh, I agree.
It'll go on
No,
until the money stops coming in. So it's up to the customers. We're all customers listening in right now. If we keep going to the games and paying for it, yeah, they can keep going forever. But if we cut that down, it sure can't, because the money flow is going to stop, and then the rules are going to change, the obligations are going to change, the contracts are going to change, and people got to show up to work to get paid, and then we'll come back.
Not going to stop.
I agree with you.
Players are now at the point where they are saying, I'm going to play 50 games.
Wow. And owners can't say shit.
And you're going to pay me for 82.
That is unfreaking believable, Scottie. That's why I would never own an NBA team. I got a call on the opportunity to be a minority owner of 2 NBA teams. And a guy called me for MLB, and a guy called me for the Raiders. When this guy called me, he's a well-known guy that sells teams. And I was interested in the Raiders, but to me, it would, it's between that or the Yankees. I'm going to go Yankees. So I won Yankees. I bought 2 rounds of ownership. Anybody that sells, I was interested. And when the NBA came about, I had zero interest because I don't believe in the product.
Yep.
I think they've destroyed the product where who would want, like, even a Mark Cuban is a astute businessman sold. By the way, don't get me wrong. The NBA is going to keep getting paid. Why? Because they're winning internationally. The eyeballs are increasing. They're going to keep making money. The product is not going away. Guys are going to start making $80, $100 million a year the next 5 to 10 years. They're going to get paid.
So is that 48% viewership being down not hurting them?
That's here. Because they can go internationally and still be able to tell marketers and say, hey, look how many eyeballs we're getting here.
That's a good point. So they're losing the American audience, but because it's more accessible globally, that's where the money's coming in. Oh, shit. That works totally against us. That sucks. However, finance is finance, right? And when a guy like Michael Jordan and especially Mark Cuban sell their greatest asset, which is their teams, in the same year, which they just did, not too many months ago at this point, maybe 6 months ago, they both sold their teams. That says something to me. That means they don't believe in this asset anymore. I don't know. I wouldn't sell my greatest asset unless I thought we might have hit the blow off top point,
But to me,
it's heartbreaking.
I have a hard time with that. I have a hard time when you forget fans, customers. We go to dinner and we go to restaurants. If my kids don't say thank you, please, what makes you think because we have an okay lifestyle that we get to think, no, that person's serving us. We have to be respectful to this person. Yeah. We have to tip them properly. We have to take care of these folks.
And on the flip side, they're the customer, so the restaurant has to take care of the customer, or else the customer doesn't come back. If they don't come back, they don't spend any more money ever again. This is just how it goes.
It gives me the MBA of thinking you're above the fans.
Yep.
It's unattractive. And by the way, that's me. It's coming from a place of ask me stuff on stats from 1992, 2010, 2015. I'm going to be able to get you some stats and numbers because I follow this game so closely. But
yeah, well, it's truly a different game.
They're just unrelatable now. I think that's the best way to put it. I think that's what he was searching for there. Like, the NBA players are no longer relatable to the common, hardworking American. We have nothing in common anymore. Our work ethics, our lifestyles, nothing. We can't pull anything from them and get inspiration from it. While in the 80s, 90s, and even the early 2000s, we pulled inspiration from them. They made us want to be better. Now it's like, I wouldn't want to be like that. I'm not inspired at all by who these people are and the way they're living their lives and what they stand for. I'm just not. I believe in hard work.
The players are a lot more sensitive in a sense that they don't want any reaction with the fans. They don't want the fans having any type of camaraderie with them at all.
They get off social media.
They always feel that fans are a threat. And they have sort of, to me, they have separated themselves. It's the players and it's the fans. And if you say something to me, it better be fucking nice, or I'm going to have you removed from the ring.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
I think it's bad. I think it's bad that players cannot take criticism. I used to love going in the stands and having people call me out of my name.
Yeah, didn't you call out, what's his name, when you dunked on Ewing and you shoved him, and who was on the sideline?
Spike,
yeah.
Yeah, so
Spike.
I embrace the fans being a part of, getting at me, trying to aggravate me.
They're paying for that experience, especially those with courtside seats. They're paying high dollar to be within shouting distance from the players. I don't know.
Now, I don't see that, I don't see how you
Whose fault is that? Is that Adam Silver that accepts it? Because that comes from the top. Like, kids can cry and say anything, but father and mother can say, no, toughen up.
I think LeBron was the first one to throw a fan out, right, guys? I think I've seen KD do it and a couple other players do it now too. But I think LeBron was the first one to do it, where he pointed a fan out and demanded that he gets removed. That sucks. Unless they're going to give him a refund, that's not okay.
I can't say where that come from, but I can say that the game misses that. They miss that irritating fan.
Yeah.
They miss that heckler that was irritating you and caused you to miss your free throws.
Yeah.
Those are things that, were a part of the game when I played.
But by the way, just out of curiosity, who were some of the toughest guys? Like, remember that one time Vernon Maxwell and Ori Vernon ran up to the 16th row of that one game? I don't know if you remember that or not. Do you remember that?
I don't remember Vernon, but Vernon was one of the toughest guys. He's a very close friend of mine, and he was a tough guy. But I mean, there was a lot of guys played in the league.
They did it again. Vernon Maxwell did not peak in 2000, much earlier than that.
And that,
I'm talking like street tough, like tough.
Yeah. I mean, but street tough can't go up in the stands. You know what I'm saying? We still have to be professional.
I fully agree.
But there are guys who've gotten out of order and out of hand. But, the commissioner has always been able to take care of that and keep things in order. But I think now the fans are so afraid that they can't even call a player out in any bad way that
Stop it.
is looked at as a threat.
I say it comes from LeBron down to the
Oh, there it is.
I know you can't say that. It's not something that you're going to be seen as an analyst, and some of the Barkley will say it. Some of these guys will say it, but I think it comes from the top down, and I don't think it's an exciting thing. By the way, I saw Vernon Maxwell the other day called out a former player, Vincent Askew. I haven't heard that name in a long time.
I saw
he
that.
Said he called me for $10,000. Don't give him the money. Never pays back or whatever. Who were some of the tough guys that the players knew they're tough, but nobody talked
By
about?
the way, I like how he just threw that in there. He was like, I personally blame LeBron James. And then he's just going to move right on.
That you played against. Oakley, was he one of them?
Yeah, I guess Oak could say he's one of the tough guys, but you know what?
Anthony Mason was
that
right there, too.
era guys kind of faded in the 90s, The Oakleys, the Buck Williams, Buddha, James Elwood, who I played with.
Yeah, Big Buddha.
James
Guys that would just give hard fouls. Those were guys that were considered tough guys. Guys that when you came in the lane, you're going to have to earn it.
Who did we think was tough but wasn't tough? Like, as a fan, we're like, you guys thought he was tough. He wasn't tough.
Are you a New York Knicks fan? No, I'm
not.
just kidding.
Who were you going to say?
No, I'm just kidding.
Listen, if you said Knicks, there's three names I think about.
No,
so were you calling someone out with the Knicks? Were you calling Mason? Were you calling Xavier?
They were all tough.
Okay.
They were all tough guys. But New York thought that they were the toughest team
out of everybody
on the block back in the 90s, especially in the early 90s. We had some great battles.
They were bullies for sure. But, yeah, man. Jordan and the Bulls, man, they just – nope.
About Michael Punch and Steve Kerr. Did you see Michael fighting a lot of people? Or was that the only instance?
I didn't see him fight anyone.
Okay. But the Steve Kerr – you're so funny. Is that like the –
I didn't see it.
Oh, you didn't see the one with Steve?
I must have missed practice that day.
You're joking right now, right? Is that what – is like the code of keeping –
No, my cat was sick.
All right, and to be fair,
man.
that's the right answer. This kind of stuff happened all the time in pro sports. The rule was this stuff stays in house, and when the thing happened with Draymond and Jordan Poole, that was one thing I noticed that Steve Kerr mentioned. These things happen. It's supposed to stay in house. The video got leaked, and that's why this is public. So, I think this is still something that happens, but it's the rule. It's the rule. We don't talk about this. We don't talk about this at all. So that was actually funny by Scottie right there.
I think I get it. No, but that's cool. And by the way, last one with Wemby. You think Wemby's going to go down as a? Is he going to end up being like? Okay,
Yeah.
he seems scary.
I hope so.
Yeah, I do think he's going to go down as one of the great ones. I mean, from a statistical standpoint, it's just like I said when I saw LeBron come in the game. These guys are going to dominate the game statistically because of how the rules have been being changed. Like, I mean, this guy can shoot a 3-pointer whenever he get ready.
It's ridiculous.
That's the crazy
Yeah.
part about it. It's like you can't even contest his shot. You know, we think that Steph Curry got the freedom to dribble and shoot the ball, but now you're talking about a guy that's 7'6",
Yeah.
and with unbelievable range. Just watching him other night, step across half court, pull up a three.
What was that all about?
That's what we're going to be seeing
Yeah.
in the next 10 years of the game is a lot more shooting from a lot bigger guys.
See, that's what they notice. I mean, the thing that's impressing me about Wemby is, I mean, I looked up the other day. I think they were playing the Lakers or they were playing. I can't remember who they were playing, but it was just a couple days ago. In the first half, he had 7 blocks. That's what excites me about Wemby. I'm not a big fan of seeing him shooting 3-pointers. I got to be real, but I can't complain that much if he's doing that much work on a defensive end. Like 7 blocks and a half. That's in a time where people are shooting in the perimeter the majority of the time. Like how that's crazy to me. I wish Wemby the best of luck. I really do. I hope he ends up being great.
Which of these records is most likely to be broken? Quadruple double, right? I think Hakeem, David. I think Alvin Robertson was the weird guy on the list.
Harden's got a couple quadruple doubles if you include turnovers.
I wouldn't have expected him to be on the list. Alvin's the one that got into a first fight with Shaq. I believe.
I don't expect that record to be broken.
No one's going to do a quadruple double.
Nah.
So for sure, you don't think anyone
because I think Hakeem may have got it because of steals
and blocks.
Okay, yeah. I don't see Wemby getting the steals.
So okay, got it. So you're
okay. Fair.
Okay, so
if Wemby, okay, let's talk about Wemby. Wemby could do it: points, rebounds, blocks. He's not going to get 10 steals. Scottie's right. Assists? He could get 10 assists. Nah, I think Wemby could do it. He's actually probably the best case of somebody who can do it.
So that's fully out. So you don't think
I don't see him getting
Wemby doing it.
Like Hakeem, if you look at the stats, he's probably the top 10 in steals throughout the league. So it wasn't an accident that he got a quadruple.
Yeah, Hakeem's a monster.
By the way, was he feared? Was he as tough as I read about? Like, was Hakeem?
Oh, yeah, he was tough.
Would he say stuff to you like, "Hey, I'm going to kill you," or was he like, was he that kind of a guy?
He was just tough, physical guy.
Nice lateral movement.
Had great hands. He's like you couldn't put the ball around him. He was so good with his feet, his hands. So having those soccer skills, he's always was at the ball.
Oh wow!
And had great hands in terms of how to knock it away.
Got it. I saw a clip the other day with David Robinson. I wonder how tough he was because I remember when one time into the season, him and Shaq were going for the scoring title. I think he scored 72 points against the Clippers, some number like that. Yeah. Shaq had 58 the last game of the season. He had 72. And I don't know who ended up winning the scoring title. I think it could have been him that won it. 100-point game. Will anybody break that?
Yes.
Yes. What kind of a player will break it? More like a Steph Curry or more like a Shaq?
More like a Wemby.
More like really? Do you collect? Cards?
In this style of basketball, I agree. It's going to happen someday. Not that I want it to, but I think it will if they don't change things.
No, I don't collect cards, but I think for that to happen today, because I think isn't the court bigger than what it was when Wilt scored 100?
Oh, I wouldn't know.
Because I don't think it was a 3-point shot.
No, there were no
for sure they didn't have 3-point shots. That I know.
But I think that Wemby would be the guy if it could happen because of his size. He can shorten up the court. his size, his range.
He's the guy. Well, anybody beating the 6 championships undefeated, 6-0?
I don't think that's ever going to happen.
I don't think so.
Yeah, no way.
Okay. All right. Well, Scottie,
Wow.
I've really enjoyed this conversation with you.
I've had a great time here. It's been an awesome time.
Yeah, and some of your answers, I have to tell you, like I was not expecting some of those answers.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
But it was fun from a fan standpoint. I want to fall in love with the game again.
Yeah, me too.
But I fell in love with the game of when you played. That's the game. When I came here November 28, 1990, the reason why my team became the Lakers is because you guys beat them that year, 1990-91 season. That was the year where that famous picture of Magic and, Michael, he's defending him, that one picture of the Sam Perkins, that whole era.
It was all of the Magic and Michael.
Yeah, that's not the picture. There's a famous picture of them two guarding each other.
That's it there.
That's the one. You got it. That's the one. It was just the era. And you guys broke my heart because I was in L.A. I said, I'm going to be a Laker for life. And I rooted for the Lakers up until LeBron came to the Lakers. That's me.
Oh, man, how many of you? There's so many, I know. I talk to you guys in the comments all the time. Lakers for life until LeBron got there. And now you can't stand to watch the Lakers until he leaves. Damn. I haven't heard anybody say it on a platform like this. Like, this is a big platform. This has, he's got 2.43 million subscribers, and he just said that.
Broke my heart because I was in L.A. I said, I'm going to be a Laker for life. And I rooted for the Lakers up until LeBron came to the Lakers.
Crazy.
That's me. Because to me.
It's kind of funny you say that.
Tell me why.
I would think that would make you more of a Laker fan, but you're not a guy that is sort of jumping on the bandwagon to win championship. You believe in the journey and
I love
how you become
the product.
A real Laker.
I was a Steinbrenner guy, and not Steinbrenner, a Jerry Buss guy, and a Steinbrenner. I love owners that want to win so bad that they're willing to do anything. And Jerry Buss won 10 in 33 years. Maybe the greatest owner of all time, by the way, Jerry Buss. And the relationship he had with the players and what he did. But, as a fan, watching you over the years and now having a conversation, this was a treat. I appreciate you for coming out, Rob. Gang, if you enjoyed it, I want you to do me a favor and support Scottie by going and buying his book and reading the story from him. Rob, put the link below for Scottie. And then if anything Scottie said, you were kind of like, what's going on here? Oh, by the way, one thing we haven't even asked that some of you guys probably wondering is, you said you made Satoshi and you're not supposed to talk about it on Twitter and Bitcoin and all this stuff. What is that all about? Like this?
Well, I said I had a dream, but, after speaking to my good friend Michael Saylor, he said, we don't talk about Satoshi.
He said, we don't talk about Satoshi.
So, learning from my mentor, I'm going to take what he said as some good advice. And
your mentor's worth around $10 billion today.
Yes.
He's doing okay for himself.
He's doing great.
Were you with him?
And now they're transitioning into what's going on here, which is the ball coin or whatever he's launching.
No, I didn't make it down for New Year's Eve, but I was planning to come down for the boat party, but it kept getting postponed.
Well, my man, Scottie, appreciate you for coming out. This was fantastic.
It's a pleasure to have me.
Likewise. Nowadays, more than ever, the brand you wear.
Wow. What a lot of stuff to digest. I don't even know what I just watched. Part 4 did not go the direction I expected it to, but I think part 2 and part 3, there was so much in there that, eventually they needed to go back to just easy questions because, when a guy like the interviewer here of the podcast constantly looks at Scottie, he smiles, laughs, and says, "You're a funny guy. You're a really funny guy, Scottie." And, you know, a lot of you young guys might not understand, but for us who are older, that's old school talk for like, you're full of shit. You know, like you're a real funny guy, huh? You're a real funny guy. Like you're playing with me. You're joking with me. You know, you're taking me for a clown. That's what he means. And he said that to Scottie looking dead in his eyes multiple times. And I think this video, I'm not sure anymore. I think this video started out with him saying that to Scottie. And after that, you could see he made the conscious decision to like, all right, let's back off on these subjects. We're not going to get an answer out of Scottie. Let's move on to other stuff, you know? So he started the conversation easy, and then they ended the conversation easy. And all the stuff in the middle was hardcore. Guys, I really don't think I have final thoughts on this. Like, I'm going to have to watch this again, I think, on my own and really digest it. Because what did I learn off of this? Scottie Pippen said he was the best of all time. Now he's saying Jordan's the best of all time. But there is no best of all time. And he definitely made one thing clear, though. It ain't LeBron, because he was saying the style that LeBron played was so different than Jordan. And the player who did it better than LeBron in that style was Magic, which I agree with. Magic won 5, LeBron got 4, and Magic uplifted his teammates. 100% easy choice for me. I got Magic over LeBron in anything. But yeah, we learned that Scottie and Jordan were never close friends, apparently. That I'm not too surprised. But we also found out that their relationship did end after the Last Dance. They had one final conversation, and Scottie's not interested in furthering a relationship with MJ. But then guys, it's too much. It's too much. It's too much. There's too many contradictions. Because he doesn't want to continue a relationship with Jordan. But then Jordan, he's saying, you know, Jordan's done with him, essentially, in his own cryptic words. So he can stick around when he's not wanted, or he can just walk away. So I don't really know. In just one podcast, I heard Scottie just like on this side of the fence and on the opposite side of the fence so many times. And we're not talking politics here. We're talking about his own life stories. But he's on one side and in the other over and over again. Who knows what the truth is with Scottie Pippen? I certainly don't. I've got my assumptions. You've heard a lot of them here in the moment. But I really don't know the damn truth about him. All I can say is I don't see a lot of NBA players or ex-NBA players who seem to be in contact with Scottie. I don't. That's all I have to say about that. So I don't know on what kind of terms he is with all of his old comrades. I don't. Guys, I'm going to end it right there. Please leave your comments down below. My brain is mush after this. So leave some comments down below. What did you think? What are your opinions on this? What's your big picture opinion on all this? Especially those who watched all 4 parts. If you haven't, the other 3 are waiting for you in the previous 3 days. Please leave this video a like. Subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. Thank you all for watching. I can't wait to get into the comments again and talk to you guys. Because, man, I don't know what I was expecting here, but this wasn't it. You know, like, it just wasn't it. I thought he was going to either double down on, like, the Jordan hate or go the complete opposite way and appear, like, apologetic, like, remorseful. But I didn't expect whatever this was, which was like neither. Like none of it happened. All right, everyone. I'm out. Thanks for watching, everybody. Peace out. I'll see you later for the next one. All right. Bye, everybody.